System of American series in the Rebirth of America. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 151. It's not directed at anyone. Virginia. Special Operations Group of the US Intelligence Agency, UAV Command Center. It's not a crash, it's a hit. Are you sure? Rick Baer, the director of the Harvest Project, who rushed over, asked in a deep voice. Yes, according to the analysis of the audio signal collected by the Predator UAV at the end, the Predator UAV was shot down. The female subordinate replied. Who is the source of the signal? Rick Baer frowned and said, don't tell me it's Owen Lee. No. The female subordinate shook her head and said, it's Alan Cross. Huh. Finally there is good news. Rick Baer breathed a sigh of relief. When will the next drone arrive? 15 minutes. They are refueling. The female subordinate understood the feelings of the superior. As a member of the top secret Harvest Project team, she witnessed the progress of the Harvest Project throughout. Owen's code name is 9, which means that he is the last candidate to join the training. The drugs he takes are all improved. In addition to his extraordinary talent, the effects of physical and intellectual enhancement are far superior to others, and they are surprisingly stable. All data during training are the first. If it weren't for the emergency, Rick Baer would never give up such a super agent. Fortunately, after Owen's verification, the new drug has been very stable. After the hype has passed and mass production has been carried out, there will always be super agents who can match or even surpass Owen. Tell them to speed up and make sure to eliminate the target. Don't worry, sir. There is no means of transportation in the target's location. Even if he is given a day, he will definitely not be able to escape the search range of the Predator UAV. Very good. While the two were talking, they pushed the door and entered the UAV command center. What's the situation? Solo has locked the signal source again. The Predator has set sail and is expected to arrive in 15 minutes. Alaska. In the utility room next to the cabin, Alan Cross took out the tactical dagger, endured the pain, and took out the electronic signal device embedded in his body. After a simple suture, he came to the woods with the blood-stained gauze. A group of wolves came with the smell of blood and surrounded Alan Cross. Alan Cross used a trap to capture the leader wolf. After repelling the wolf pack with a pistol, he stuffed the electronic signal device in his mouth into the mouth of the leader wolf. Buzz buzz buzz. At this time, the Predator drone arrived and fired the Hellfire air-to-ground missile again at the running wolf leader, successfully hitting it. Because the signal source just now showed a running state, the people in the drone control center had no doubts. In addition, the drone's endurance was particularly poor, so after confirming that the signal source was destroyed, it returned directly. Buzz buzz buzz. Alan Cross, hiding in a corner of the snow in the forest, listened to the sound of the Predator drone going away and gradually becoming blurred, and exhaled heavily. In the moment of life and death, even he who had undergone special training felt powerless after surviving a disaster, but just when he rested for a while, recovered, and stood up to leave, a gunshot rang out. Shit. The last thought flashed through Alan Cross' mind, and a bullet crossed a distance of nearly 2,000 meters and penetrated his forehead, and a red plum blossom suddenly bloomed in the snow. It's not targeting you. At a hidden sniper point, Owen saw through the scope that Alan Cross was shot in the head by him. After falling heavily, he said to himself faintly, but I want to hide for a while longer. In the original plot, although Alan Cross successfully faked his death and escaped from the site of the Harvest Project, he was restricted by drugs and had to show up and make a scene just one day later. Although Owen is not restricted by drugs, once Alan Cross makes a big noise, it is hard to guarantee that the people of the Harvest Project will not be suspicious and send people here to check carefully, which will expose Owen. Therefore, for his own safety, sending Alan Cross to death with one bullet is the best choice. As for Alan Cross's identity as the protagonist of Justice, don't be ridiculous. None of the agents are innocent and kind, and all of them have blood on their hands. Owen has no psychological burden in killing them. System, display the attribute panel and mark the existence points required for the next upgrade of each attribute. Yes, Master. The American TV system agreed, and the attribute panel appeared in Owen's consciousness. Existence points. 133 plus 50, 120, 1 equals 61 points, positive. 100 asterisk 5, 50 equals 450 points. Note, successfully survive plus 50 negative points. Open the deep learning function of the academic master mode costs 1 point. Driver card. 10. Summer, Jioye, Jamie Ines, Bianca Samson, Queen Amidala, Robin, Kitagora Kiko, Jinguji Sora, Rachel, Alyssa Page. Honor title. Krypton Life Academic Master Dolphin Lover Eternal Kidney King Male Public Enemy Legendary Tuna Supreme Conductor Super Male Beast Mathematics Professor Single-Minded True Man Akina Mountain Car God Intelligence LV5+. Next level LV6 needs to spend 2000 points. Strength LV2+. Next level LV3. The limit is 1T. Needs to spend 50 points. Speed LV2+. Next level LV3. The limit is 50 km per hour. Needs to spend 200 points. Endurance LV3. Next level LV3. Need to spend 50 points. Energy release LV1. Depending on the specific skills. Combat skills LV4. Depending on the specific skills. Skill list. Skill 1. Eternal Overshoot Gun. Skill 2. Academic Master Mode. Skill 3. Mysterious Traditional Chinese Medicine System Mission. King of Agents. Achieve Hegemony. Are new skills appearing randomly? I didn't feel it in the positive universe, but when I came to the negative universe again, my life was in danger at any time, and Owen's desire for new skills was very strong. Although the attributes are good, if you want to significantly improve your combat effectiveness, you need to spend a lot of existence points. In terms of intelligence and speed, the existence points required to simply improve one level are simply terrifying. But this is also easy to understand. LV5 plus intelligence is already the limit of human beings. At this level, the spatial perception ability is already very strong. Going further, it is a leap forward improvement in spiritual power. In the magic world, it is the strength of the soul and spiritual power, such as Ancient One and Professor X. In reality, it is the personality charm and the luck of the protagonist, such as Iron Man. The speed is, because level 3 spans the normal human limit of 40 km per hour to an extraordinary 700 km per hour. You know, the speed of ordinary airplanes is only 800 or 900 km per hour. The next level of strength and endurance breakthrough does not cost many existence points, but there is no way to significantly improve combat effectiveness. American TV series system, yes, as long as the master accumulates enough existence points and driver cards, new skills will appear randomly. After leaving the ice and snow, Owen used his body memory to avoid surveillance and hid himself. He began to use the computer to understand the world. When he saw a piece of news, Owen's face changed suddenly. 2 explosions occurred in Los Angeles today. The hospital guarded by the special police was attacked, and the casualties were heavy. P.S. Thanks to the book Friends 2018120221385557 and The Last Night Armor for the reward. Chapter 150 to Fast and Furious. California. Los Angeles. In a garage. This afternoon, in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, a supercar worth more than $3 million pierced through 3 towering Emirates United Towers hotels and finally fell from a high altitude. This supercar originally belonged to a Prince of Jordan. According to eyewitnesses at the scene, the robbers and attempted to drive away were former federal criminals Dominic Toretto and Brian O'Connor. It's you, indeed. Irving stopped tightening the wrench and looked at the TV. He saw a shiny head of Dominic Toretto, who looked like a strong man, and muttered to himself, "It seems that it's time for Fast and Furious 7. They have succeeded, and are about to move to Los Angeles. I have to speed up." Boom boom boom. After tightening the last screw, Irving walked to the driver's seat and started the car's engine. Listening to the loud engine roar, he smiled with satisfaction, lowered the hood, and drove out of the garage in this chariot that looked inconspicuous, but was actually carefully modified by Irving, the god of cars in Akina Mountain. Following the traffic, Driving at a medium speed in this city of angels, Owen familiarized himself with the city again with the eyes of a super agent. When passing a tall building, Owen's eyes condensed and he murmured, "That's it." In his field of vision, the signal tower on the top of the tall building overlapped with the picture in his memory. This will be the center of the war. 2 days later, at night, the lights are shining. The city of angels is particularly lively tonight. There are all kinds of car battles, and even armed helicopters and unmanned attack aircraft have appeared. When the machine guns on the helicopters are firing wildly, and the missiles on the unmanned attack aircraft are whizzing past, they are completely mocking the American law and order. The city of angels is just a paradise for criminals, but a hell for ordinary people. But, in a building that was hit by a missile and was collapsing, an American muscle car rushed out and flew towards the low-lying armed helicopter. Dominic Toretto, a bald man in the driver's seat, pursed his lips and looked at the approaching helicopter expressionlessly. He reached out to take a pack of grenades from the co-pilot seat, and at the moment of the helicopter's fall, he hung the pack of grenades on the bottom of the helicopter with incredible skills. Bang, bang, bang. Luke Hobbs, a tough American agent, stood in the distance, drew his gun, and aimed at the pack of grenades, and fired 3 shots in a row. Boom. The grenade was detonated, blowing up the helicopter, but everyone didn't pay attention to it. They all gathered around Dominic Toretto, who fell from the tall building without making a sound, because they are the so-called family. Come on. Dom. Wake up. Brian used to be a policeman, and kept trying to rescue Dominic. Oh, my god. The key to all these crazy events, Ramsey, a black female hacker with an afro, stood in the distance, covering her mouth and exclaiming. She still had a good impression of the criminal family formed by Toretto. Seeing the leader Mr. dying at this moment, she was still very sad. But before she could walk over, her eyes went black and she fainted. Owen hugged her from behind with an expressionless face, and retreated with her. Everything was silent, but there was no way to block Luke Hobbs' keen vision of the protagonist. Stop. Put down Ramsey. Luke Hobbs drew his gun and shouted. Bang bang bang. Owen ignored him, held Ramsey's body horizontally, blocked the vitals, ran to his car quickly, got in the car, started the engine, turned around in place, stretched out his hand to shoot a few accurate shots, blew up the tires of the remaining cars, and drove away. Shit. Brian, Letty stay, the others come with me to rescue Ramsey. Luke Hobbs yelled. Damn it. Who is this? Where did he come from? The black racer Roman Pierce responded quickly, running towards the empty car on the street, while rapping and cursing. Ramsey is the girl I like. No matter who you are, I will beat you so hard that your mother won't recognize you. Hurry up. Don't talk nonsense. The technical geek Taj Parker did the same thing. Like Roman, he was also very interested in Ramsey, a beautiful girl of the same race, and naturally couldn't bear to see Ramsey being kidnapped. Bang. Unlike Roman and Taj's technical flow of requisitioning other people's cars, the American tough guy agent Luke Hobbs has always been simple and rough. He used his strong muscles to hit the car window with an elbow. With the blessing of tough guy luck, no matter how strong the car window was, it broke as expected. 3 cars followed Owen closely. Holy shit. Roman was stunned as he looked at the car that was moving at a very high speed and getting farther and farther away in the traffic. He cursed, how is this possible? In the past, they always left others far behind, and that feeling was very refreshing, but now that the positions have been reversed, this feeling of powerlessness and frustration is killing him. You know, racing is his only advantage. In the aspect that he is most proud of, being ruthlessly crushed by a person of unknown origin, watching him dragging the girl Ramsey away, this feeling is really terrible. It must be because of the car. It must be. It's because of the shitty car. In the communicator, Taj Parker cursed. His speed must be over 220 miles per hour. He dares to drive like this in a place like this. His driving skills are definitely top notch. Even Dom and Brian are afraid that they can't compare with him. Hobbs, we have no way. We will soon completely lose his trace. Hurry up and call the helicopter to lock onto him, and don't let him run away. Got it. Luke Hobbs is a senior federal agent. He directly called the police helicopter that had arrived to track Owen. The target vehicle is on Grove Street in South Africa and is heading towards Sunset Boulevard. The police helicopter pilot's prompt voice came from the communicator. Got it. Keep tracking, mobilize police forces, and block the surrounding streets. Got it. Owen saw from the rearview mirror that the police helicopter shone its searchlight on his car. He glanced at Ramsey, who was still unconscious in the passenger seat, and riffed calmly. The car turned sideways, reached out to take the assembled mini windrunner sniper rifle from the back seat, and fired at the police helicopter. Boom. The bullet hit the helicopter's fuel tank accurately. Ordinary police helicopters naturally cannot have armor. They were hit by powerful sniper bullets and immediately exploded. Owen retracted the sniper rifle expressionlessly, stepped on the accelerator, and the carefully modified car quickly disappeared into the night. No matter who you are, I will never let you go. The American tough guy Agent Luke Hobbs, who rushed over, was furious at the crash site, smashing the iron plate with his fists like a self-abuse, and spewing out cruel words from his mouth. Chapter 153 God's Eye, California, Los Angeles. A hidden place somewhere. System. Disable the deep learning function of the academic master mode. Yes, master. After Owen drove back safely, his consciousness immediately communicated with the American drama system and disabled the use of the skill. The deep learning function of the academic master mode is very practical and can be called an emotion blocker. Once used, the whole person enters an absolutely rational state. Compared with the inspiration bonus function, it consumes much less existence points. Therefore, whether it is used for learning or killing, it is the best choice. After taking Ramsey, who had an afro, out of the passenger seat and tying her up on the seat, Owen began to treat the previous injuries. With the mysterious Chinese medicine skill and extraordinary endurance, the wounds cut by the electronic signal device have shown signs of healing. Who are you? What do you want to do? Ramsey woke up slowly and found herself tied up in a strange place. She immediately screamed in fear. Owen ignored her meaning. The sound insulation here is very good. Even if she screamed, it would be useless. Instead of talking to her now, it is better to wait for her to calm down. After a while, after Owen treated the wound, he looked up at her and said with a smile, "Any questions?" Ramsey's IQ couldn't be bad for someone who could be a top hacker and develop a hacking software called God's Eye that was comparable to science fiction. Seeing Owen like this, she knew that he was teasing her. She had no ability to let Owen answer any of her questions. "You should know why I caught you here, right?" Owen smiled. "Any ideas?" "God's Eye?" Ramsey smiled bitterly. The recent series of crises were all because she invented this hacking software, which attracted the attention of all parties. If she had known it would be so troublesome, she would rather not have invented it. "It's not my fault. God's Eye was on that armed helicopter and was destroyed." "I know." Owen nodded and smiled. "That's what I hope for. For people like us who walk in the dark, the God's Eye you invented simply leaves us with no way out. Even if I don't come to you today, someone else will come to you in the future. Do you understand?" Ramsey was silent. The function of God's Eye is so powerful that it can quickly invade most of the world's security systems, collect video and audio data including road monitoring, mobile phone cameras, bank ATM machines, etc., and automatically search according to the target head portrait drawn by it using biochemical mapping method in the collected target audio. It can scan the whole world in a few hours, and when there is the last trace of the target, it can lock the other party within a few minutes, because no matter how well a person hides, he can avoid visible camera surveillance, but he cannot completely hide from the unconscious mobile phone images of passers-by, unless he does not appear in areas with electronic devices. So, when Owen saw the scene of the hospital special police being tortured and killed, he immediately thought of Deckard Shaw's domineering appearance in Fast and Furious 7, and connected with it was the sci-fi hacking software God's Eye that was about to be fought for. If Owen does not take any action, once God's Eye falls into the hands of the authorities, it will be a natural disaster like an asteroid hitting the Earth for those hiding in the dark. When a person cannot hide, no matter how powerful this person is, he will eventually die, because personal power is ultimately limited. With the eye of God, the life of a person like Owen who is officially wanted to be killed, is truly in a countdown state. unless he hides in a desolate place and does not come out. If he wants to become the king of agents and achieve his own hegemony, he can only have plastic surgery. You didn't kill me, but captured me. Do you want me to create the Eye of God for you again? Ramsay said with a flash in his eyes. Yes and no. Owen has been looking at her, ignoring the flash of light in her eyes, and smiled. What I want is for you to teach me how to make the Eye of God. What? Ramsay was stunned. Teach you to make the Eye of God? Are you a hacker too? No. Owen shook his head and said, but I have burned CDs in the id department. I have some understanding of software, and I have a good learning ability. Burn CDs? Good learning ability? Ramsay said with a smile. Do you know how complicated the Eye of God is? Let me tell you, even if I'm the inventor, I can't make another Eye of God without programming day and night for half a year. Do you think those hundreds of millions of codes came out of thin air? They are all coded line by line. Don't say that you have only burned CDs. Even an ordinary hacker genius may not be able to fully understand the Eye of God with my hand-in-hand teaching. Do you still want to learn? How do you know if you don't try? Owen smiled confidently and said, I'm still very confident in my learning ability. He couldn't take the entity of the Eye of God away, but he could master the manufacturing technology. This kind of buggy sci-fi technology is very practical, no matter which universe it is in. You know, even Jarvis, the super intelligent butler of Iron Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is definitely not as good as the Eye of God in terms of searchability. Okay. Seeing Owen so confident, Ramsay was too lazy to persuade him. This kind of thing depends entirely on talent. When he encounters setbacks, Owen will probably not think so. I just hope he won't get angry at that time. When do we start? Let me make it clear in advance that I'm a pacifist. Owen answered the question irrelevantly, so I won't kill people unless I have to. I know you think the Toretto crime family is more attractive, but I sincerely suggest that you team up with me. Ramsay trembled all over and remained silent. What attracts you to the Toretto family? Owen analyzed. Is it loyalty? Haha, actually you are completely wrong. When there are only two people, loyalty can be expected, but when the number of people expands to a criminal family like the Toretto, the so-called loyalty is completely a bubble, and you don't know when it will be punctured. It's not like that. Ramsay couldn't help but retort. The Toretto family is very loyal to each other. Oh, really? Owen raised the corner of his mouth and said sarcastically, I'll give you a very simple example. When I catch Letty or Maya, threaten Toretto and ask him to exchange you. Do you think he will agree? Ramsay shook his head and said, how can you use this as an example? Why not? Owen sneered. It's normal for a family to have closeness and distance, but when faced with a choice, in order to save the most important family members in their hearts, let other family members face life and death crisis. Can such a family really have loyalty? Seeing that Ramsay still seemed to believe it or not, Owen did not force it, and said lightly, don't worry, we can wait and see. I believe that, when you see their choice with your own eyes, you will know how to choose. Soon, Dominic Toretto will face this choice, and if it weren't for the protagonist's luck, because of his choice, his so-called family would have died in his hands, just like the long-legged Giselle who died in Fast and Furious 6. Chapter 154 Beautiful Agent. California. How is it? American tough guy Agent Luke Hobbs stood behind the technical nerd Taj Parker and asked. No clues. Taj Parker shook his head and said, the cameras in that area were destroyed in advance, just when we were taking action. Those who didn't know would think it was our helper. Shit. Luke Hobbs cursed angrily. Can't the scope be expanded? Can he destroy all the cameras? I must catch this son of the bitch. Dominic Toretto stood behind with his head bare, hugging Letty who had recovered her memory, with a few wrinkles on his mouth, and said nothing. This time he went out, he completely achieved his goal. Not only did he send Deckard Shaw, the culprit who killed his family Han, to prison, but he also accidentally restored his girlfriend Letty's past memories. The two got engaged between life and death, and were about to go on a honeymoon. Ramsay was kidnapped by Owen before he officially joined the gang, and he was not counted as a family at all, so he didn't care whether he could catch Owen. It will take a lot of time to compare the video information. Taj Parker sighed, and it has to happen when the other party is completely unprepared. He is obviously a professional. We don't have the eye of God, so it is almost impossible for us to catch his flaws. Shit, shit, shit. Luke Hobbs began to pound the iron plate with his fists frantically again. He saw with his own eyes that the other party blew up a police helicopter with one shot. For a tough American agent like him, this was simply a naked provocation to him. Don't worry. Brian O'Connor interrupted. They only captured Ramsey, but didn't kill her. Obviously, they wanted the Eye of God. Now that the Eye of God has been destroyed, they will definitely ask Ramsey to remake it. As for a super hacker like Ramsey, if she is given a chance, she can notify us quietly at any time. We just need to wait patiently. That's right. Roman Pierce was shocked and said indignantly, prepare a good car for me when the time comes. I want to show him who is the real speedster. Forget it. Taj Parker hit him. You still don't give up. The other party's driving skills are not comparable to yours. I doubt Dom and Brian can do it either. Is it really that powerful? Dominic was surprised. He still knew Taj Parker, his old partner. He was not as slick as Roman Pierce. He always said what he meant and had a good eye. Since Parker repeatedly emphasized, it must be because the other party was indeed very powerful, which aroused his interest. It's more powerful than you think, Taj Parker affirmed. On a ghost plane. Damn it. This is the second time. A long-legged blonde beauty looked at the remains of the armed helicopter lying in flames in the news video and cursed with cold eyes. Dominic Toretto, I will make you pay the price, for sure. Boss, the electromagnetic pulse device is not in hand, and the Eye of God has been damaged. Our plan can't be implemented at all. A big beard frowned and said, don't worry. The long-legged blonde beauty took a deep breath and regained her composure. There is not only one electromagnetic pulse device. If there is a chance, we can grab another one. As for the Eye of God, God is still there. Will there be a lack of God's eye? Boss, you are talking about Ramsey? The big beard suddenly realized, but she has been kidnapped by unknown people. There are so many criminal groups in the world. I don't know which party the other party is. Then go find it. The long-legged blonde beauty shouted. Start from Los Angeles, search inch by inch. No matter who they are, you must find them for me. Yes, boss. The big beard shuddered and responded respectfully. Connect me to M. The long-legged blonde beauty watched her subordinates begin to invade and retrieve video information in Los Angeles. Compared with the God's Eye, her eyes turned cold and she ordered, and Jane. Yes. In a club in Beijing, a tall Asian beauty was massaging a chubby fat man. The fat man closed his eyes and lay there, looking very happy. His fat hands kept moving, which made him look even more obscene. The Asian beauty didn't dodge at all and continued to press expressionlessly. When her palm passed the fat man's spine, it suddenly changed into a claw and grabbed it down fiercely. With the specially trained claw method, she instantly broke the fat man's spine and lifted him up heavily. The fat man's screams were covered by the beauty and he couldn't make any sound. He died in the breath. After putting on her clothes in an orderly manner, the Asian beauty opened the window and quietly went down to the next floor with a thin, but extremely tough silk rope. She stepped on high heels and left seductively. The bodyguards outside didn't find anything unusual at all. After a long time, there was no movement inside. They realized that it was impossible for the boss to delay for so long. When they rushed in, there was only a dead fat man lying on the bed. Go to Los Angeles immediately and investigate the target. The Asian beauty got in the car, turned on her mobile phone, and found that her superior, Mrs. M, had issued her a new task. She put on sunglasses, stepped on the accelerator, and rushed to the airport. New York. In a villa in the suburbs, a beautiful woman with thick lips opened her phone, put down the kitchen utensils in her hands, and shouted to the bedroom, honey, there is work for me. I need to go out for a while. In the bedroom, a handsome white man put down his coat, quietly hid the gun on his waist, and responded, honey, I know. Los Angeles. A secret place to stay. His Ramsey took a breath, staring at Owen programming with a more skilled technique than her, and shouted in disbelief, are you really just a CD burner? Yes. Owen stopped the god's hand and smiled reservedly. I said I have a good learning ability. Ramsey was caught off guard by this pretentiousness. 3 months have passed. Owen asked her to explain the code while guiding him in programming. At first, she felt a little bit of a joke, but every time she encountered an unknown point, as long as she explained it, Owen instantly understood it. Even the most complex and core programming algorithms, Owen had no intention of asking her to explain more. Now she was just a repeater, repeating the code of God's eye that she had programmed. No matter how fast she went, Owen's hand speed could keep up, and the number of times Owen asked questions became less and less. If this kind of qualification is just a CD burner with good learning ability, then the IT company he works for is probably run by aliens. Chapter 155. Love, Los Angeles. A secret place to stay. Take a break. Dinner will be served soon. Owen paused the deep learning function of the academic master mode in his mind, pushed away the computer, stood up and stretched his hands and feet, and smiled at Ramsay behind him. Okay. Ramsay glanced at the laptop on the table, followed Owen to the kitchen tactfully, and helped Owen. In the past 3 months, she had thought about escaping, but she chose to give up for various reasons. First of all, Owen didn't let her touch the computer at all, but just let her teach. Owen operated it herself, and asked her to explain in detail the meaning of each line of code. After all, she was not an agent. In front of Owen, who turned on the deep learning function of the academic master mode, and had a blank face, she was trembling with fear. At first, she didn't dare to do anything. When she got familiar with Owen a little, her fear subsided a little, and she raised the tampering code, and secretly sent a distress signal. But she found that Owen's hacking level was already very amazing. She had no confidence at all to send the distress signal secretly without alerting Owen. Secondly, she had hoped that the Toretto family would be able to find her or sneak away when Owen was out, but when she saw that Owen had obviously purchased a lot of food in advance and piled up there, this idea slowly disappeared over time. Thirdly, hacking is also a talent-based profession. For Owen, who is so talented, Ramsay always feels like he has met a soulmate. In addition, Owen has been very good to her during the 3 months of getting along. Of course, Owen's appearance and figure are also indispensable. It is nonsense to say that Ramsay has no good impression of Owen. Appearance has no borders. When Orientals watch American dramas and Hollywood blockbusters, they often wonder why foreigners have such strange aesthetics. The ugly Asians in their eyes are beautiful women in the eyes of foreigners, while the Western beauties in American dramas and Hollywood blockbusters are very charming in the eyes of Orientals. In fact, no one is a fool. Beauty is universal. There is no such a big difference in aesthetics. The reason why this situation occurs is just a deliberate vilification and discrimination. Watching Owen cooking dinner skillfully, looking even more handsome under the light, Ramsay's eyes flashed with a hint of passion. Thinking of Owen's previous proposal to join the team, he couldn't help but feel a little moved. Let's eat. Owen was sensitive and naturally caught a glimpse of the strange color in Ramsay's eyes. While greeting him, he hesitated in his heart. Do you want to make a sacrifice tonight? Ramsay was a mixed-race child. His mother was of Spanish descent, and his father was half Latin and half British. Her appearance and figure were not as good as Owen's many female friends, but among ordinary people, she was definitely a beauty. She was the creator of the Eye of God. If he didn't want to kill her, he had to ensure that the other party would not create an additional Eye of God before Owen left this universe. Moreover, a top hacker like her could still provide Owen with great help in logistics. Of course, the premise was that the other party was sincere in helping. Therefore, at the very beginning, Owen tried to win her over and proposed that the two of them form a team. During the 3 months of getting along, Owen also intentionally or unintentionally showed his masculine charm. Now it seems that the harvest season is approaching. The dinner is simple, just bear with it. Owen made up his mind and was ready to sacrifice himself tonight. He opened a bottle of red wine and poured a glass for each of them. He smiled warmly. After the Eye of God is back online, we can leave here. By then, we can go to the sunny beach, the snowy plateau, whatever your mood is. Ramsay took a sip of red wine, listened to the intimacy in Owen's words. His heart was moved, and he changed the subject in a veiled way, saying, even if we have the Eye of God, we can't relax like this. There are too many forces coveting the Eye of God, and they will never give up. Don't worry. Hearing Ramsay's words, that were obviously inclined to him, Owen's smile became even brighter. Although the original Eye of God is powerful, it is more in the search aspect, but after these 3 months of study, I have some other ideas about the Eye of God. Other ideas? Ramsay asked curiously. What ideas? The original God's eye overlooks everyone, leaning towards the eye. Owen smiled meaningfully, and my idea is to turn myself into God. God? Ramsay's IQ was online, and he was slightly shocked, and immediately reacted. You mean to make everyone invisible in electronic devices? Yes. Owen nodded and smiled. God is said to be omnipresent but invisible. Wherever I go, all electronic surveillance can't capture my picture. Think about it, this will be a powerful function. This is too difficult. Ramsay shook his head and said, invading the global security system and calling all video and audio information is already the limit. If you want to tamper with the surveillance video in real time and erase your video image silently, it is simply impossible. These two, one shot and moved to another place, and the other robbed the bank, and not only did not leave, but also wanted to legally transfer the bank to his own name, which is completely whimsical. I know. Owen smiled confidently, but I believe I can do it. Ramsay was speechless. She had witnessed Owen's super learning talent with her own eyes. Didn't she think that Owen, a CD burner, could not understand her program code? If you can really do this, then you are the god of the hacker world. Ramsay took a big sip of red wine and murmured, everyone will bow down at your feet including you. Owen had walked behind Ramsay without knowing when, and whispered in her ear. Of course Ramsay was completely drunk. That night, Owen unexpectedly discovered that Ramsay had merged with the Maid of Dragon mother in Game of Thrones. Not only that, but even the style changed from PG-13 of Fast and Furious 7 to HBO of Game of Thrones. Ever since being caught by Owen, Ramsay, who had never dared to shout for help, really tried hard this time, but his throat was almost broken and no one came. Seeing this situation, Ramsay completely resigned herself to her fate. Owen gave her a chance, but she didn't seize it. Who could she blame? Humans are emotional animals. The 3 months of seeing each other day and night were not in vain. Before, there was a gap between them because of their identities as the hostage and the hostage, but after the gap was broken tonight, the feeling suddenly surged out. It was that Ramsay didn't understand the language of the other side, otherwise she would definitely have a deep understanding of the profound idioms such as love grows over time and time makes it new. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156 The Ultimate Fighting Technique. Los Angeles. Secret stopover. The next day. God, how are you so awesome? Ramsay exclaimed. What do you mean? Owen joked. Of course it's your hacking skills. What do you think it is? Ramsay asked in confusion. The most important thing about hacking skills is the algorithm. The algorithm of God's eye was an accidental inspiration of mine. Until now, I'm still a little confused and can't imagine that I have created such a sophisticated algorithm. But I saw you modify some of the algorithms while listening to my explanation. After the modification, not only did you refine a lot of code, but you also made the algorithm more efficient and powerful. How did you do it? It's very simple. Owen played with Ramsay's afro. In Ramsay's dissatisfied eyes, he laughed and said, you are a top hacker, so you should also be considered a science student. I ask you, which science is the most important? Of course it's mathematics, physics and chemistry. Ramsay blurted out, and then changed his words. No, it should be mathematics. Although physics and chemistry are important, their foundation is also mathematics. Correct. Owen snapped his fingers. All sciences are inseparable from mathematics. So mathematics is the king of science, and hacking technology is naturally no exception. Whether it is regular software or hacking software, it is just software engineers and hackers who use mathematical models to simplify and solve complex problems with one click. Just like the first appearance of computers, which replaced various primitive abacus and manual calculations, and freed people from heavy calculations, now it is a step further, incorporating everything into the computer software, allowing the computer to replace the human brain. After a command, what should have been completed by people with a lot of time and energy is now all handed over to the pre-created software. The ease of use of software and the strength of hacker technology, in the final analysis, depends on who has a more clever mathematical model, who has a more concise and efficient algorithm, and finally whose software and hacker technology are more awesome. When mathematics can completely construct various feedbacks of the human brain, the software created is super artificial intelligence, or super artificial intelligence life. Super artificial intelligence life. Ramsey was a little absent-minded. But Owen was about to close his eyes and sleep for a while. He had worked too hard last night and had studied hacking techniques with Ramsey all night. Suddenly, the special watch on his wrist began to vibrate. His face changed, and he stood up suddenly, put on his clothes quickly, pulled out his pistol, and whispered to the bewildered Ramsey, "Hide under the bed." "What's wrong?" Ramsey was a little terrified, but last night's frankness still made her instinctively obey Owen's orders, and shrank under the bed with her pajamas. Outside the building, where the secret spot was located, a tall Asian beauty walked in. Her eyes under the sunglasses scanned around, and walked upstairs. "It's her." Owen was a little surprised to see the person coming from the surveillance, but he still opened the safety of the pistol. This is a negative universe, and he has no intention of pitying women. The Asian beauty seemed to have sensed something, took out a small pistol from her boots, and searched in a combat-propelled posture. At the door, Owen and the Asian beauty stood across the wall, 10,000 meters above, on a ghost plane that is not scanned by any satellite radar. "Boss, there is movement over there from Madam M," the subordinate reminded. "HMM." The long-legged blonde beauty was shocked, walked over quickly, and ordered, "Ask Madam M to send the real-time picture over, and put it on the big screen." Yes. After a while of operation by the subordinate, a view appeared on the big screen in the center, which was exactly outside the door of the room where Owen was. "Sev, this is my top killer, Charlene." In the corner of the screen, a woman smiled and introduced the long-legged blonde beauty. "Tell her to capture the target alive," the long-legged blonde beauty Sefa reminded. "Don't worry." Madam M smiled confidently. "Charlene will not miss." Bang, bang, bang. The sound of silenced guns rang out densely. The screen shook, and the door was kicked open by a long leg, and the picture in the room swept by. "Ramsey, I finally found you." Sefa was sharp-eyed, and saw Ramsey hiding under the bed, and trembling at a glance. "Identify the target, and kill this man." After that, seeing the two people fighting, he ordered a little worriedly, "Contact Jane and send the coordinates to her. Let her go to support immediately, and make sure to capture the target alive." "Yes. No need to go through so much trouble." Mrs. M smiled and said, "Sherin is capable of completing the task." "I hope so." Sefa nodded. "A secret hiding place. What the FK?" Owen punched the Asian beauty Sherin, but Sherin jumped with incredible kung fu and hit back with a backhand. The dagger cut Owen's arm and blood slid to the ground. "Am I being beaten by the other Shaw kung fu?" Owen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The Asian beauty's movements had completely jumped out of the level of martial arts. There was a shadow of the other Shaw martial arts. At least the height of the jump and the hovering time were too long, just like a slow motion. Beep beep. At this moment, the speaker sound of the American TV system rang in Owen's mind. Owen immediately sank into consciousness, and everything in the outside world was completely still. "Master, your special consciousness fluctuations are detected, triggering skill 4, ultimate fighting technique. No matter how strong he is, the breeze blows over the hills. No matter how arrogant he is, the bright moon shines on the river, and you are proficient in all fighting skills. The combat skill attribute has reached the maximum level 7. It requires 4 driver cards and 100 existence points. Master, do you want to redeem it?" Owen was stunned, and then said speechlessly, "It's the same as the 9 Yang magic art. What's the use of this ultimate fighting technique? After the training of a super agent, I should have mastered all kinds of fighting skills." "Yes. The American TV system explained, the master is indeed proficient in various fighting skills, but this kind of proficiency and the proficiency recognized by the system are completely two different realms. The mastery of all combat skills recognized by the system, that is, combat skill attribute 7, is in the multiverse, at the same power level, no leap forward power difference, and speed level, no leap forward speed difference. The combat skill is invincible, which is already beyond the law level of skills. To put it simply, the master has his own exclusive BGM. When the BGM sounds, the master is invincible. Ahem. Owen was caught off guard and kept coughing. What? My BGM? American TV series system. Yes, master. When the master is in trouble in the battle, the BGM will automatically sound, and then the master will be invincible in combat. Since abducting Ramsey, Owen has gained another 50 points. Now his existence points are 111 points, with 10 driver cards. Ramsey is indeed not in the Goddess series. Exchange. Thinking of fighting against Charlene, who knows the other side of the kung fu, Owen hesitated for a moment, but decisively exchanged it. Chapter 157. Punching the chest with little fists. In the mind. Confirm the exchange. The exchange is successful. Please check it. When the voice of the American drama system fell, an exciting BGM sounded, and Owen felt that he was a different person, and an unprecedented confidence came over his heart. The mind withdrew from the American drama system, and the time in the real world passed again. Looking at the exaggerated movements of the Asian beauty, Owen was as steady as a mountain. When the opponent's long legs kicked from a tricky angle, he grabbed them lightly, exerted a little force, and immediately pulled the opponent's body suspended in the air over, then clenched his fist, and punched the opponent's chest. In the unknown high altitude, in the ghost plane, the long-legged blonde beauty Zephyr, who saw this scene through the real-time screen, twitched his mouth, rubbed his chest unconsciously, and felt that the whole person was not good. Bang! The Asian beauty killer Sharon flew out and hit the wall heavily, with blood flowing from the corner of her mouth. Owen's strength was so great. If it was replaced by a knee-level killer with particularly good offensive power, it would be okay, but she is a top-level air-level killer who specializes in offense. She was too weak to defend against Owen's powerful punches. Where is Jane? Seeing that Charlene seemed no match for Owen, Zephyr asked directly. It will take another 5 minutes to arrive. The subordinate reported the answer directly according to the coordinates and moving speed of the location. Tell her to speed up. Zephyr ordered. Mrs. M, let Charlene hold on. Jane will be here soon. Understood. Mrs. M nodded with a somewhat ugly expression. Charlene was her top killer, and she had always been successful. She didn't expect that there would be a risk of failure this time, and it happened in front of the boss. Charlene touched the blood at the corner of her mouth, and with one hand, she flew up again in violation of the laws of physics. Her long legs kicked at Owen in a series of kicks, and the dagger in her hand was like a shadow, attacking Owen's upper body like a poisonous tongue. What a great waist strength, and how flexible your body is, this thought came to Owen's mind, but his hands did not slow down at all, blocking Charlene's attacks one by one, and then locked Charlene's hands with evil fun, and punched her chest again. Zephyr, who was watching this scene through Charlene's vision, had 1,000 MMPs in his heart, and the other men had strange faces, thinking, what did this guy do before? Is he a cosmetic surgeon? He punches me with his hands. This time, Charlene spurted out a mouthful of blood, lying there powerlessly, supporting herself with her hands, and trying to struggle to get up, but she seemed to be pressed down by 2 mountains, and she couldn't get up. She watched Owen pick up the pistol, change the new magazine, and slowly walked over, with a complicated look in his eyes. There was no fear, only confusion, mixed with a hint of relief. When she was a child, she was kidnapped by Mrs. M and trained with hundreds of companions for 6 years. During this period, she killed her companions who had been with her day and night. After the brutal training, only 3 of the hundreds of companions were left, including her. She thought it was over, but she didn't expect that the nightmare had just begun. An adult graduation ceremony, in helplessness and crying, the hideous faces of 3 strong men and their wanton laughter kept flashing in front of her. After the baptism of the adult graduation ceremony, her spirit was completely destroyed, and she became a nun-killing machine. Over the years, so many targets died in her hands. Many times, just like now, she looked down on the opponent and sent the last bullet, but this time she changed her position and became the one being looked down upon. On the ghost plane, Sefer looked at the black muzzle of the gun in front of the camera, narrowed his eyes, and suddenly ordered, "Let Sharon hand him the communicator. I want to talk to him." Okay. Mrs. M no longer had the confidence and calmness at the beginning, and accepted the order in a formal manner. "My boss wants to talk to you." Charlene was slightly startled when she heard the order in her ear, but her long-standing habit of obedience made her choose to obey at the first moment. She took out the micro earphone from her ear despite the pain, held it in her hand, and said lightly, "Oh." Owen took the micro earphone, played with it for a while, gave an order to Ramsey under the bed, and then put the micro earphone in his ear. "You took something that belongs to me." Sefer's cold voice came over. "If you give up now, I can pretend nothing happened. Otherwise, although the earth is big, there is absolutely no place for you." "Who are you?" Owen said casually. "The last time I was threatened like this, it was the official. Do you think you are more powerful than the official? Although the official is powerful, it is not dangerous enough." Sefer said coldly, "Believe me, you will never want to go against me." "Sorry." Owen shook his head and smiled. "This reason is not sufficient. Listen, I have no intention of having any conflict with you, but I absolutely cannot tolerate the eye of God appearing in the hands of others. You should know that people like us who walk in the dark cannot accept being illuminated by lights at any time." "Oh." Sefer's heart moved, and his cold voice softened slightly. "Is this why you took Ramsey away? Don't you have any other organization behind you?" Seeing Ramsey turn the screen of the laptop around, a familiar face appeared in Owen's eyes. After looking at the photo, Owen listened to Sefer's voice again, and felt that everything was right, and his heart moved. "What do you think, Miss Sefer? Ramsey is really good." Sefer paused slightly, and after being reminded by his subordinates, he looked at the system risks displayed on the screen, and immediately understood what was going on. "I don't think there is any organization behind you. If you work for any organization, the other party will never let you stay in Los Angeles with Ramsey without moving." Miss Sefer is really wise. Owen clapped his hands and laughed. "I have a suggestion." Sefer said solemnly, "Since you don't have an organization, why don't you work for me? If I say no, will you let the sniper outside kill me immediately?" Owen knocked Charlene unconscious with a punch, dragged Ramsey to avoid the possible sniper point, and the vibrating watch reminded him that a new hunter had entered the scene. "If you have to," Sefer said lightly, "then I'm sorry." Owen smiled and said, "I'm soft-hearted. If Ms. Sefer is really sincere, come and recruit me in person, and then we can talk about other things. Goodbye." After that, he took out the micro headset and crushed it, raised his hand, and fired several shots at the estimated sniper point, and then rushed out of the room with Ramsey. Shit. On the opposite high-rise building, a hot and big-mouthed beauty hid behind the bunker, looking at the dust flying in front of her, and cursed angrily. When she stuck her head out again and searched for Owen with a sniper rifle, a black commercial vehicle had already driven away quickly. Chapter 158 The Rhythm of the Big Villain. 10,000 meters above the sky, inside the ghost plane. "Boss." The voice of the big-mouthed beauty Jane sounded in the communicator. "Take Charlene away first." Sefer groaned for a moment and ordered. "Got it." Jane replied. "Send the captured message to the police." Sefer narrowed his eyes. "Boss." The bearded man was puzzled. The other party hid for more than 3 months last time. Now the police's vigilance and investigation have been reduced to the lowest level. Once the other party takes Ramsey away from Los Angeles, it will take more time to find the other party. We don't have that much time to waste. Sefer said coldly, "Our old rival must be looking for Ramsey. Once they get the information, they will definitely mobilize all their forces to block and investigate. If they catch the other party, we will snatch Ramsey from the old rival. If we can't catch him, we will also block Ramsey in Los Angeles to provide opportunities for our people." "Boss is wise," the bearded man said sincerely. "In their eyes, the official people are just helpers. This is not arrogance, but the fact. In Fast and Furious 8, even the high-ranking unknown people stationed in the unknown places in the army were attacked and swept by them. You can imagine the strength comparison between the two sides. Los Angeles. FBI Los Angeles branch. Boss, there is movement. An agent stood up and shouted to a strong man. American tough agent Luke Hobbs, who always has his arms exposed, walked over quickly, stood behind the agent, and looked at the computer. Finally caught you. Luke Hobbs' eyes lit up and ordered, immediately send out the suspect's headshot, car model, license plate number and other information, and block all entrances and exits. This time I must catch this son of the bitch. Yes. The agent responded, and began to release Owen's information to the police. Dom, where are you? I need your team. Luke Hobbs called Dominic Toretto. I'll be there soon. On the sunny beach of Los Angeles, members of the Toretto crime family were sunbathing, looking at their bikinis and long legs, feeling so comfortable. How could they have been a group of federal felons? Dominic hung up the phone and said to everyone, Hobbs found Ramsey's trail and asked us to help. Finally he showed up. The black man Roman Pierce took off his sunglasses, stood up and shouted, what are you waiting for? Let's go together. Letty got up from Dominic's arms and said calmly, the person who kidnapped Ramsey is not simple. We should be careful. Dominic and Letty looked at each other and knew each other's intentions. Unlike Roman Pierce and Taj Parker's thoughts on Ramsey, he and Letty actually didn't want to wade into this muddy water at all, but they were felons in the past, and there was no possibility of refusing Hobbs' call unless they wanted to live a life of exile again. After learning from the lesson that Letty almost died because of exile, and the fact that his sister Maya and brother Brian now live a happy life, Dominic Toretto simply doesn't have the courage to live such an exile life again. The four people left the beach chairs and walked towards the four cool sports cars parked side by side outside the beach. Boom boom boom. With the roar of the four sports cars, they quickly left the beach one after another and drove quickly towards the city. The suspect vehicle was found, a black Honda commercial vehicle with license plate number ZNB 9527, on 2nd Avenue, heading towards Franklin Avenue. A police officer warned on the police intercom. Received. Deploy police officers to block the surrounding streets. Luke Hobbs ordered, Dom, where are you? I'll be there soon. Dominic Toretto glanced at the satellite map on the car and replied in a deep voice, on ZNB 9527. Owen, something is wrong. Ramsey, who was sitting in the co-pilot seat, operated the computer and reminded, the police seem to have discovered us and are closing in on us. Sever. Owen immediately guessed that it was Sever who leaked the secret. He shook his head and smiled and ordered, Ramsey, find the weak point, control the traffic lights, and we will go back to the city. The police found their traces. It would be a death wish to run out of the city at this time. On the empty suburban highway, no matter how fast the car is, it is definitely not faster than the helicopter. And with Ramsey's worth, the possibility that the other party will send out armed helicopters is very high. Facing the armed helicopters wearing armor in response to the war, Owen would have to kneel down, no matter how powerful he is. Okay. Ramsey is a top hacker, and with a half-completed God's Eye in hand, it is still easy for her to control the traffic lights along the way. Now she does have the opportunity to do something, but after being frank with Owen, she no longer has that thought. Owen kept his eyes on Ramsey's movements. Seeing that she was very attentive to his orders, he thought to himself, I now have 4 skills, but the one that has helped me the most is skill 1. Although skill 1 is only one skill, the various benefits it brings are really good and powerful. We have company. In the rearview mirror, several bright colors caught Owen's eyes. Owen smiled and reminded him, Owen. Ramsey also noticed it and hesitated to speak. Don't worry. Owen was Lee Banwon, who had never been touched by women. He had a superpower of understanding women's thoughts. He naturally saw Ramsey's thoughts and comforted her, as long as they don't go too far, I won't kill them. That's good. Ramsey smiled embarrassedly and explained, after all, they saved me before. I understand. Owen nodded and said, but don't forget that they are not just trying to save you. They are just for the eye of God that you represent. So I can let them go for you once, but if they keep pestering me, I hope you won't be too sad. Yeah. Ramsey responded sullenly. She was just a simple hacker. How could she withstand such a slightly cruel topic? Found the target. Let's start. Dominic Toretto reminded on the intercom, stepped on the accelerator, and rushed towards Owen first. Come on, baby. Roman Pierce rapped. Daddy is here to pick you up. The four cars separated. Letty followed closely behind. Roman Pierce and Taj Parker on the two wings. Dominic Toretto drove side by side with Owen, looked at Owen through the car window, and then did a tailspin. The car reversed 180 degrees to block Owen's car. Now, Dominic shouted, and the other three cars each ejected a rope, shooting towards Owen's car. Chapter 159 Desperate Bad Taste. Crossroads. Little guy, try this on me. Owen looked through the car window and met Dominic's gleaming bald head and cold tough guy eyes. He glanced at the siege from all sides through the rearview mirror, laughed, and quickly shifted to reverse gear. Just as Dominic shifted gears to hold his car and the other three cars were about to launch ropes, he fell backwards rapidly with the roar of the powerful engine, directly avoiding the ropes that were launched from the left and right. Bang! The car body shook, but it was Letty's rope that was launched from behind that hit the rear of Owen's car. I hit him. In the communicator, Letty's wild voice when facing zombies in the biochemical crisis sounded. No, Letty, be careful. Dominic and Owen looked at each other, and seeing Owen's sneer on his face, he was startled and reminded him quickly. Unfortunately, it was too late. Owen swung the car body, and the powerful engine with tens of thousands of horsepower directly pulled Letty's car through the tight ropes to force a change of direction. Bang! Although Letty's racing car was also modified, it could not withstand such a drag and turned over directly. However, because of the strong rope, it was still dragged by Owen's car at a high speed. Letty, bald tough guy Dominic's eyes were bloodshot, and he stepped on the accelerator and chased after him. Owen. Ramsey saw the racing car being dragged with sparks in the rearview mirror and called out reluctantly, "This is just a lesson for them." Owen chuckled, stepped on the brakes, took the tablet from Ramsey's hand, and looked at the large number of police cars approaching quickly on it. With his fingers tapping quickly, the traffic lights changed one by one. At an intersection, there should have been one red light and one green light, but all turned green. The cars that did not react directly hit the whizzing police cars, blocking the police car convoy directly at the intersection. This situation continued to happen, and suddenly on the satellite map, the red dot group representing the police cars all stopped moving, and only a few red dots were still approaching. Wait in the car, I'll deal with it. I'll go down with you and persuade them. Haha. Owen laughed and didn't mean to object. Dominic Toretto stopped in front of Letty's car, got out and rescued Letty. Owen didn't mean to kill Letty, so Letty was just a little dizzy, and there was no big problem. For Ramsey's sake, this is just a warning. If you still want to get involved in this kind of thing, next time you can expect your so-called family members to be immortal. My style of doing things is different from Deckard Shaw's. Bomb attacks are too boring. I prefer sniping. Through the lens of the sniper rifle, aiming at your heads, and shooting all of you in the head one by one. This is my style. Dominic, Letty, Roman, Taj, Brian, Ma. As Owen spoke, he took out a special tactical dagger and cut the rope at the rear of the car. That depends on whether you have the ability to do it. Unlike Roman and Taj who were nervous when Owen called out their names, Dominic Toretto, who had the aura of a tough guy, would not fall for Owen's tricks. He handed Letty to Roman and the others, took a crab step, and with a few wrinkles on the corners of his mouth, he rushed over coldly. Dom, don't be impulsive. Ramsey shouted. Unfortunately, Dominic, who was in a state of heat, ignored her at all. TSK. Owen shook his head and laughed. It seems that the so-called family is really worthless in your heart. Who do you think you are? Bang. Dominic Toretto punched over, but Owen stretched out his hand to catch it directly. The powerful force firmly suppressed Dominic, making him unable to move. At this moment, Dominic's face finally changed. He has never lost a fight in these years. Even when facing the tough American agent Luke Hobbs, he has the upper hand. Therefore, he has a mysterious confidence in his skills and strength. But now he meets the skinny Owen, and is easily suppressed by the other party with pure strength. What a shock. Don't forget me. At this time, a bald strong man suddenly rushed out and punched Owen's face with a fist as big as a bowl. He is my brother, Agent Hobbs. Owen let go of Dominic, dodged Luke Hobbs's attack, pulled Ramsey back a few steps, stood facing the two and smiled. The agent and the federal criminal are brothers. It's great. Ramsey, get in the car first. We should go. Oh. Ramsey hurried to the passenger seat. Dom, take Ramsey away. I'll take care of this bastard. Hobbs flexed his exaggerated muscles. No. Dominic was cold and expressionless. He hurt Letty. I'm going to make him pay the price. Then let's see who takes him down first. Hobbs rushed towards Owen. Bastard, I'm going to beat you up today. Before he finished speaking, Owen dodged Hobbs's fist and punched him in the back. The powerful force hit a special spinal point, which immediately paralyzed Hobbs' whole body and made him fall heavily to the ground. Dominic, who followed closely, was no exception. One of them was a street thug and the other was a devil muscle man. They had no skills and relied on their tough guy luck to fight. When they met Owen, who knew the ultimate fighting technique and had his own BGM, they could not be arrogant for more than 3 seconds. Looking at the two bald tough guys twitching on the ground, Owen's evil taste rose. He picked them up one by one, slashed their shirts with a tactical dagger, and pulled them off, and then posed in an extremely ambiguous posture for them. What the FK? Standing in the distance, Roman and Taj, who were holding Letty, had their eyelids twitching. They saw Owen take out his mobile phone and snap photos of Dominic and Hobbs. What made their mouths twitch even more was that Owen turned Dominic 180 degrees, snapped a few more times, left a threat, got in the car, and drove away. If you dare to follow me again, just enjoy the handsome photos on the internet first, and then wait to be shot in the head. On the ghost plane. Haha, it's really interesting. As the world's #1 hacker whose hacking skills are even better than Ramsey's, Sepha saw all this through the surveillance video. For Owen, she has a little more intention to recruit him. Dominic and Hobbs, two bald tough guys, were just paralyzed and twitching, but they were not unconscious. They were aware of Owen's actions, but they were powerless to resist, and could only watch themselves being manipulated by him. When Owen pressed their bald heads and got closer and closer, their faces were almost red. Normally, they would have exploded, but at this moment, after being attacked by Owen with special acupuncture points of mysterious Chinese medicine, they could only close their eyes in despair under the flashlight. Chapter 160 Gun-Based Eradication. ZNB 7527 in the car. What's wrong? Owen was driving the car, and seeing Ramsey looking at him strangely, he couldn't help but smile. You don't have any special hobbies, do you? Ramsey looked at Owen and asked hesitantly. As a top hacker, she can browse most of the information in the world. Gossip and hormones are human characteristics. She naturally doesn't miss all kinds of real and indescribable pictures and videos. She still knows that there are creatures like universal plugs in the world. What are you thinking about? Owen shook his head and smiled. I'm a real man, you should know this very well. Ramsey smiled perfunctorily, curled his lips and said, I can't say for sure, your interests and hobbies are very wide at a glance. Ahem. Owen understood what Ramsey meant, his mouth twitched, and he kept coughing, emphasizing, I only like to discuss various interests and hobbies with women, don't think too much. Ramsey shrugged and didn't comment. MMP. Seeing that Ramsey seemed to believe it or not, Owen cursed in his heart, I should have known better. It's really annoying to be suspected of being a universal plug, and there's no way to explain it. It's really hell. Where are we going now? Seeing that Owen's face was not right, Ramsey tactfully changed the subject. Let's find a new place to hide and avoid the limelight first. Owen pressed a button, and the ZNB 9527 license plate on the rear of the car suddenly changed to DZT28X. With the semi-finished God's Eye, Owen and Ramsey, two top hackers, are like fish in water in a metropolis like Los Angeles. They easily get rid of surveillance from all sides and hide again. At night, the lights are on. A gas station. Owen stopped to refuel the car, and Ramsey also got off to stretch his body. Nice car. A second-generation rich man walked to Owen's car with his bodyguard, glanced at Ramsey who was moving his body, and raised his mouth with a wicked smile. How much is this car? I'll buy it. Not for sale. Owen glanced at the other party, was slightly stunned, shook his head and smiled. How much did you spend? I'll double it. The second-generation rich man with a familiar face said arrogantly. Boss. The bodyguard glanced at the pistol on Owen's waist. His face changed. His hand was on the gun on his waist. He stepped forward to grab the second generation rich man, whispered a few words in his ear, and dragged him back. The second generation rich man was stunned and looked at it as the bodyguard reminded him, and he saw the pistol. Facing Owen's half smile, he returned to their car angrily. In America, the proportion of gun ownership is indeed very high, but most of them are kept at home. There are very few people who actually carry guns on the streets, and each of them is not a good person. After refueling, Owen got in the car and left, and ordered, "Ramsey, monitor the car just now." "What's wrong?" Ramsey asked in surprise while operating. "I have a hunch." Owen smiled and said, "The other party will not give up so easily." "No way." Ramsey doubted. "What you just did was not a conflict at all." Owen grinned and said, "Contradiction and conflict are sometimes only an eyelid away." Ramsey quickly hacked into the other party's car system and mobile phone, and took over the authority. "Follow them." "Boss, forget it. The other party is not easy to mess with." "Asshole. Who am I? Who dares to mess with me in Los Angeles? Call a few more brothers, some who can open the lock, and we will follow them later. Wait until they fall asleep before taking action. Don't kill the man first. I want him to see me take his car and woman with his own eyes." "Understood, boss. I'll call people now." Seeing that the rich second generation was not impulsive, the subordinates immediately put their minds at ease and began to call their brothers in the gang. "How is it?" Owen recognized the other person and was not surprised at all. He smiled at the stunned Ramsey. "How could this happen?" Ramsey murmured. She had never seen such a routine of killing someone just because of a disagreement. "Where are we going?" Ramsey, who had been in a trance for a while, saw that Owen was not heading towards a hidden foothold and asked, "Let's find a place to solve this trouble first." Owen smiled maliciously. "Forget it," Ramsey said fearfully. "We can get rid of them." "Indeed," Owen said lightly, "but I don't like this way of dealing with it. Today, first it was the naked agent, and then the fast and furious team. Owen was very restrained and did not kill. Now there is another fool who provokes him. If he endures it again, he will be a softie. Moreover, he is destined to become the king of agents and a person who achieves hegemony. How can he not kill people?" He sacrificed himself to win over Ramsey in order to make her an assistant, not a stumbling block. If Ramsey can't adapt to this kind of life, Owen can only draw his gun and be ruthless. After all, he can't let Ramsey fall into the hands of others. In front of an abandoned building, Owen stopped the car and walked in with Ramsey. The rich second generation who had been following behind him also stopped. Half an hour later, two more cars drove over silently. They turned off the lights. TSK, it's only been half an hour, it's useless. Haha, let him see the boss's power with his own eyes later. Wait another half an hour, then we'll act. Time passed as everyone boasted and chatted. Under the command of the rich second generation, everyone quietly moved towards the building. A small man stepped forward, took out a wire, and fiddled with the door. The door was opened, and everyone drew their guns and entered. On the top of a building connected to the building, Owen held a mini wind walker and saw everyone entering the building through the scope. He raised his mouth, aimed at the rich second generation, and pulled the trigger. "Ah!" A shrill scream echoed in the night sky. "Boss, what's wrong with you?" "Oh no, there's a sniper. Find cover. Protect the boss." Everyone was in a panic. After Owen sniped 3 people, the remaining 4 people protected the rich second generation and hid in the blind spot of the shooting. Only then did they have time to check the injuries of the rich second generation. When they saw this, the 4 of them took a breath of cold air, their backs went cold, and their crotches were chilled. If they knew the language of the other shore, they would probably think of the 2 words chicken flying, and eggs broken, and eunuch at the first time. "Reek, is that you?" Owen, who was on the roof of the next building, locked them with a sniper rifle, and murmured with a smile. That's right, Owen was very familiar with the appearance of this rich second generation. It was the Reek who was toyed by the Little Skinner in the Game of Thrones. Therefore, in order to pay tribute to the Little Skinner and the Reek, Owen chose a precise gun-based eradication technique. Bang, bang, bang. Although they knew the danger, if they let the rich second generation bleed to death, the remaining 4 people would be worse off than dead, because the rich second generation had a father who was a Russian gangster, so they had to bite the bullet and rush out, and the result was that they were sniped one by Owen. PS. Thanks to the rewards of 108. Chapter 161 The Strongest Killer. Bang. Owen fired the last bullet, ending the other party's pain. Since he had started, he had no intention of holding back. In the top floor apartment of a high-rise building. #@*. Vig, please speak English. A middle-aged white man in a suit and leather shoes stood beside an old man with a scraggly beard. He listened to the old man answering a phone call and saying something in Russian with a ferocious face, and reminded helplessly. ISF was killed and was humiliated and tortured before his death. The old man gritted his teeth and said, "Who did it?" The middle-aged white man was shocked. "That's exactly what I want to ask you." Vic stared at the middle-aged white man and ordered murderously, "Find the murderer immediately and find out everything about the murderer. I want blood debts to be paid with blood." "Yes." The middle-aged white man replied heavily. "Call John Wick back." Vic stopped the middle-aged white man who was walking to the door. "What?" The middle-aged white man was stunned and reminded, "John Wick is preparing for the impossible task before retirement." "I know." Vic said viciously, "It is precisely because it is impossible to complete that I asked him to pause and deal with my son's affairs first. I have a hunch that the murderer must be no simple one. Only by sending John Wick can we have enough confidence." "Understood." The middle-aged white man nodded and left. Of course he knew that the murderer was not simple. The person who dared to kill Vig's son in Los Angeles was either a fool or a strong man, and a fool would never be able to kill ISF, who had many subordinates. "ISF, my son." Vig stood in front of the French window and murmured, "No matter who killed you, I will avenge you. No one can survive under the pursuit of the night demon." Ding-ling-ling. The phone rang. "Brother, I heard that ISF was killed." "Who did it? How dare someone touch someone from our family?" "I've asked someone to investigate." "Send your men too." Vic said calmly, "Remember, this person is not simple. When you find out his whereabouts, don't act immediately. Send the news to me, and I'll send John Wick over." John Wick? The night demon who killed 3 people with a pencil in the bar? Vig's brother was surprised and said, "Is it necessary? Isn't he doing the last big thing for you?" "Necessary." Vic said, "That thing is impossible to accomplish, even if it's John Wick. He wants to retire. I just want him to retire more thoroughly. In a villa." Buzz buzz buzz. A handsome man, accompanied by a woman, was lying on the sofa watching TV. A dog was lying quietly next to them. At this time, the phone vibrated. "Sorry, I need to go out." The handsome man took the phone and looked at it, looking at the woman with an apologetic face. "Come back early." The woman looked at the man worriedly, but did not say anything to stop him. "Don't worry, I'll be back soon." The handsome man's voice was soft and natural, but he unconsciously revealed unquestionable confidence. The top floor apartment of a high-rise building. "John, this time I'm begging you. My son ISF was tortured and killed. I need your help." Vig asked solemnly, "Is this the last mission?" John Wick said coldly, "Yes." A hint of coldness flashed in Vig's eyes. "As long as you complete this mission, you can retire." "Okay." John Wick nodded. "Where is he?" "He is a top killer. Intelligence gathering is usually done by professionals. He only makes the final fatal blow. I have mobilized everyone. As long as the other party is still in Los Angeles, he will not be able to escape." Vic said coldly, "Even if he escapes, as long as he is still on Earth, I will never let him go." Bang. Just after the harsh words were spoken, a bullet penetrated the French window and pierced his head. John Wick immediately avoided the possible sniper's field of vision and hid behind the bunker. Buzz buzz buzz. Before he could launch a counterattack, the phone vibrated and he answered the call. "John Wick. Who are you?" "Don't worry about who I am. Now Vig is dead, the mission is over, and you can choose to retire." On the opposite high-rise building, Owen aimed at John Wick's hiding place with a mini windrunner sniper rifle and said through the headset, "Or are you really an incredible person who must use your extremely strong will to complete the mission, as long as you take it?" John Wick remained silent. "It seems that you have already made a choice." Owen sighed. I'll give you a chance. My next target is Vig's brother. If you insist on seeking death, come and find me. John Wick hung up the phone, dialed Vig's brother's number, explained, walked out, looked at Vig who was shot in the head, and prepared to leave expressionlessly. Bang! Another bullet penetrated the French window and drilled out of the forehead accurately. Against the background of John Wick's slightly surprised eyes, the bloody bullet was so bright. Owen saw John Wick fell heavily to the ground through the scope of the sniper rifle, smiled slightly, put away the mini Windrunner sniper rifle, and quickly left the building. He really didn't plan to kill John Wick, but John Wick's personality was like this. When the other party was silent about Owen's advice and called to inform Vig's brother, Owen had to kill him. Because this is a strong killer who is determined and will not give up until he reaches his goal. Even in the underground world, there is a reputation as the strongest killer. His boss, the Russian gangster, the gang leader, Leo Ouija, always talks about him. He sighs the most that he killed 3 people with a pencil in the bar, which seems to be incredibly powerful. But in fact, let alone Owen, even other senior field agents can kill 3 people with bare hands, which is too easy. So this kind of words that highlight John Wick's strongest killer temperament sounds like a joke to Owen. And if Owen remembers correctly, in the movie John Wick, if it weren't for his strong luck, John Wick would have died 800 times. When he was ambushed at home after retirement, he could be said to be out of shape, but in the subsequent battles, he was staggering and barely able to survive. What made Owen speechless was that in the hotel, if the sniper hadn't shown mercy, he would have been shot in the head. Such a so-called strongest killer is actually called in existence. That makes Thanos tremble. It's too funny. So Owen easily shot the opponent's head, which can be said to be a bloody accusation of pretending too much. Washington, D.C. National Research Assessment Group. Sir, something's up. We found Owen Lee's trace. What? Rick Baer, the person in charge of the Harvest Project, was stunned, and then his face changed drastically. Chapter 162 The Emperor Arrives. Washington, D.C. National Research Assessment Team. Owen Lee. Rick Baer walked over with a grim expression. Hasn't he been destroyed? It seems not. The team member smiled bitterly. If we hadn't just happened to see the news in Los Angeles when searching for Jason Bourne, who would have thought that Owen Lee, who should have been dead, had been living under our noses? Because of the top secret level of the Harvest Project, even the CIA director didn't know about Owen's existence, and the FBI and the police naturally didn't know. When Owen's head portrait was leaked to the authorities by Sever, they just regarded Owen as an ordinary criminal. On the Harvest Project side, the relevant information has been sealed tightly. Without a super weapon like the Eye of God, and with important tasks to do, they naturally wouldn't pay special attention to a person who has been destroyed. If it wasn't a coincidence, no one would notice Owen. What is he doing? Rick Baer asked. According to general analysis, if he were Owen, after successfully faking his death, he would definitely choose to leave America as soon as possible and find a place with beautiful scenery, but very backward to live, avoiding possible exposure in the pursuit. That would definitely come after exposure. But Owen chose to stay in America and caused such a big commotion. There must be something wrong. Could it be that he didn't take the medicine and his intelligence began to degenerate? He hijacked a hacker named Ramsey, who developed a super hacker software called God's Eye. The team members operated it and immediately replied. As members of the Harvest Project, they have the highest authority and can call and view all confidential files. They quickly figured out the cause and effect. God's Eye. Rick Baer's pupils shrank, and he said in shock, "Don't tell me its function really lives up to its name." "I'm afraid so." The team member replied with a heavy face. Although it is impossible to invade the top secret security system, most security systems cannot stop the invasion of God's Eye. The owner can call up all public information. Once ignored, the consequences will be catastrophic. Not only that, another team member added, although we don't know Owen Lee's purpose, given his intelligence and our relationship, we must consider the possibility of him exposing us. Although this God's Eye cannot invade the most secret security system, under Owen Lee's deliberate control, it can collect flaws that we have not noticed, and then launch retaliatory attacks. The possibility and success rate are very scary. This statement was recognized by everyone because the reason why the murder occurred more than 3 months ago was because the Harvest Project team was alarmed by the Jason Bourne incident. After reviewing all previous operations and information, they actually found a video on YouTube that the chief medical director of the Harvest Project and the chief medical director of the subordinate Stumbling Block Project were good friends and the two had a good chat. The Harvest Project definitely does not want to be implicated by the arrested and notorious medical director of the Stumbling Block Project, so they killed super agents worth $30 million one by one. Although they have always been cautious and top secret, and have repeatedly erased traces afterwards, they will definitely be in trouble if Owen, who has such a powerful god's eye, really wants to retaliate against them. If it goes wrong, it will be a super international scandal. This is absolutely unacceptable. Shit. Rick Bayer cursed. First there was Jason Bourne, and now there is Owen Lee. Are you going to tell me that even Alan Cross is still alive? This possibility cannot be ruled out. The team members are all cold elites, and they said honestly, I think we need to send someone to check it carefully. Do it immediately. Rick Bayer took a deep breath and ordered coldly, also, give the FBI an order on the grounds of national security, to kill Owen Lee with all their strength. Yes. How about the CIA? Rick Bayer asked. Jason Bourne was hit and fell into the sea, but his body was not found. He is suspected to be still at large and the CIA is still hunting him. The team members immediately replied, notify the CIA director and ask him to send agent number 1 to Los Angeles to ensure the destruction of Owen Lee and Ramses Hacker. If they can be captured alive, try to capture them alive. If they cannot be captured alive, make sure they don't fall into the hands of others. Rick Bayer said in a deep voice, the Deep Dream project is underway. Once someone else gets hold of the Eye of God, it will be a disaster. The Deep Dream Group, a rising star in American social media, has users covering as many as 1.5 billion people around the world. The chairman of the Deep Dream Group was supported by the CIA. Therefore, the big data information of the 1.5 billion people held by the Deep Dream Group's social platform is continuously transmitted to the CIA through the backdoors deliberately left, making it easier for the CIA to monitor privacy. To some extent, this is more powerful than the Eye of God. After all, one is just an active intrusion search with a single target, while the other is all-round coverage. On the ghost plane. Interesting. Sefer waved his fingers, and the world's #1 hackers level was fully opened. He kept searching for Owen's information, but found that there was no useful information at all, as if Owen had never existed. Obviously, this was a special person whose past was deliberately erased. Boss, Jane found the target's traces, and asked if we should wait for an opportunity to kill him. The bearded man reminded. Stay where you are. Sefer pondered. Since he wants to see me, I will go there in person. Boss, this is too dangerous. The bearded man advised. The other party's identity is mysterious and powerful. Once the boss goes there in person, we have no guarantee of protecting the boss's safety. I know. Sefer waved his hand and said, but we must get the Eye of God, right? Once we successfully recruit the other party, we can not only get the Eye of God, but also gain a powerful helper, which is very helpful for realizing our grand plan. I believe in my intuition. Make arrangements and we will rush to Los Angeles immediately. Yes. The bearded man had no choice but to obey. Outside Owen's landing point, the big-mouthed beauty Jane was lying there with a sniper rifle, listening to the orders coming from the headset, muttering to herself, "You're lucky." Oh, really? At this moment, a chuckle suddenly came from her ear. Jane's hair stood on end, and she kicked without looking back, but she didn't expect that her whole body was shocked. A strong force was applied to her back, pressing her to the ground, making her lie there in a prostrate posture, unable to move. P.S. Recently, due to subscriptions, the severe situation in the online literature circle and other reasons, my state is not good, and I'm a little stuck. I don't have the feeling of being able to express myself freely as before. I will adjust it by updating once in the next few days. Please forgive me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, Reloading. Los Angeles. Shit. The big-mouthed beauty Jane cursed inwardly and struggled to get up, but was pinned there. The sniper rifle in her hand had been taken away, and the pistol, dagger and other weapons on her waist were also searched one by one. Even the spare firearms in her sleeve boots were no exception. Just when she was at a loss, the great power on her body disappeared. She turned over and stood up flexibly and saw the target of the mission standing there, looking at her with a smile. "How did you do it?" Jane looked at Owen warily and couldn't help asking. "What do you mean?" Owen smiled. "How did you find me?" Jane said coldly, "It's been 2 consecutive times. You found me in advance. This is definitely not luck, nor is it the function of God's eye. As the killer leader that Sapphire relies on most, and she has the support of the team, she naturally knows what they are chasing. The power of God's eye is unquestionable, but it is absolutely impossible to do this. The biggest possibility is that there is a spy among them who exposed her whereabouts to Owen. Otherwise there is really no way to explain all this." Owen smiled and said nothing. "In fact, it is very simple. Owen improved the Eye of God and made it have the function of early warning. With Owen's foothold as the center, the surveillance within a radius of 5 kilometers is included in the observation range of the Eye of God. As soon as a target like Jane, who carries a large backpack and may carry a sniper rifle, enters the early warning range, the Eye of God will automatically track and analyze, and then warn Owen. So it is very difficult to snipe Owen. The later this kind of thing is exposed, the better it is for Owen. Owen will naturally not pretend to tell others. My boss wants to see you." Jane paused, and Sapphire's voice sounded in the headset, and then handed the macro headset in his ear to Owen. Owen took the headset and smiled. "I said if you want to see me, come in person. Give me 72 hours. Sapphire's voice came from the headset. "I will go there in person, but the location cannot be in Los Angeles. I have received news that you have completely angered the authorities. They have increased their efforts to capture you. TSK, the order is to shoot on the spot. In the United States, the death penalty is rare. They believe in maximizing benefits. Criminals with strong abilities like Owen are generally detained in special prisons after being arrested. While they are doing various psychological and physiological research for official doctors, they are waiting for special occasions to be used as chess pieces to cross the river. As for whether there will be huge casualties again after being released, it doesn't matter. As long as they don't hurt their own people in the upper class, everything is expendable for them. Most of those who are ordered to shoot directly and prevent arrest and contact are special people with indescribable secrets, such as Jason Bourne. Owen had undergone special agent training and had the plot as a reference, so he was particularly clear about this set. When he heard Sapphire talk about it, he immediately understood that it was the people from the Harvest Plan who discovered him and began to obliterate the plan. "Where do you want to be?" Owen asked. "If you want to become the king of agents and achieve hegemony, a crazy woman with strong strength and power like Sapphire is definitely a very good logistical helper. Unless Owen has more orders of magnitude of presence points and driver cards and exchanges for more powerful skills, he does not have the ability to do this now." New York. Sapphire was obviously prepared. New York is an international metropolis with a very large flow of people, which is very easy to hide. Moreover, the headquarters of her subordinate female killer organization is also in New York, which is more secure. Although she wanted to meet Owen, because of her intuition, she would never ignore the possible risks. "Are you okay?" "Of course." Owen smiled confidently. "See you in New York in 72 hours. "Okay, contact me then." After Sapphire finished speaking, he asked Owen to return the headset to Jane and disconnected after a few instructions. Buzz buzz buzz. Just as Jane was about to leave, the watch on Owen's wrist began to vibrate. "Owen, we've been discovered. We've been surrounded and are advancing quickly toward us." Ramsey's exclamation came from the headset. Owen's face changed. He used the scope of the sniper rifle to sweep around. Sure enough, there were police cars everywhere, mixed with black Chevrolet large SUVs. Owen knew that it was the police's elite SWAT tactical team. SWAT stands for Special Weapon and Tactics, which means Special Weapons and Tactics. It is a special law enforcement unit in the United States that uses advanced technical and tactical means to fight violence, terrorism, and terrorism. It is affiliated with the local police station and usually exists in the form of a team. When police units from other departments encounter or suspect heavily armed criminals, they will apply for SWAT assistance. They use special weapons and tactics to quickly control the scene like lightning, stop the criminals from resisting, and retreat safely. Only then will the subsequent detectives and investigators enter the scene. What's wrong? Jane keenly noticed Owen's abnormality. We are surrounded here. Owen took a deep breath and regained his composure. Let's go together. Otherwise you can't escape. Humph. Jane snorted coldly and turned away. She is also a top killer, so she is naturally confident and arrogant. Ramsey, take the eye of God and come out immediately. Seeing this, Owen did not want to persuade him anymore. He gave a warning through the headset and went downstairs immediately. He did not even prepare a car, because the other party had set up a tight and solid fence outside, and it was impossible to drive through. In a tactical command vehicle, sir. Target found. A cold beauty in a professional suit quickly operated the computer and reminded Heather, confirm target number 1, and kill him on the spot. An old man gave orders on the other end of the video. Don't get close to target number 1. Target number 1 has super strong fighting ability. A person who looked like an assistant next to the old man reminded him in his ear, and the old man added, if necessary heavy weapons are allowed. Target number 1 must be shot dead on the spot. Yes. The cold beauty Heather responded, and as the on-site commander, she conveyed the order to everyone. The SWAT team members were stunned and looked at each other, with disapproval flashing in their eyes. The fall of the tough agent Luke Hobbs here in Owen had long been spread throughout the system. They naturally knew it, but people with ability are arrogant. They didn't think that under their tactical advancement, Owen still had a chance to fight in close combat. However, they were the elite of the elite after all, and obeying orders was instinctive. After confirming the order to kill, they tightened their guns in their hands at the captain's wave, ready to kill the target on the spot at any time. Da-da-da. In the air, an armed helicopter flew over, with heavy machine guns and missiles ready to attack at any time. The scene was extremely dangerous. Chapter 164 One Man's War. Los Angeles. Oh my god. What happened? In the area that was tightly blocked by the police, with Irving as the center, the nearby residents finally reacted by hearing the flapping sound of armed helicopters. They looked out of the windows one by one. When they saw the fully armed police advancing silently in all directions, many people screamed. If it were the other side of the ocean, perhaps the people would take a bench and sit at the window to watch and eat melons, because the public security on the other side of the ocean is the best in the world, and the people feel safe. But in the United States, a country that is hated by everyone because of its wanton exercise of hegemony in the world, there are too many retaliatory terrorist activities. When the people saw this posture, their first reaction was that there were extreme terrorists near them, and the extreme terrorists were accompanied by explosions, killings and endless panic. Snap, snap, snap. Accompanied by screams, waves of heavy window slamming sounds came one after another. Shit. The media will explode again tomorrow. The CIA director in charge of this operation cursed with a headache. Heather, this operation must succeed. Yes, sir. In the tactical command vehicle, the cold beauty Heather Lee looked at the computer and responded solemnly. As a top student at Yale University, she knew clearly that, even if this operation was successful, the CIA director and the police would be under great pressure from public opinion, because this time the commotion was too big, so big that she couldn't understand it. The target was just one person, and he was carrying a burden. There was no need for this. Success was like this, let alone failure. Are the snipers in place? Heather Lee asked. Sniper number 1 is in place. Sniper number 2 is in place. Sniper number 3 is in place. Sniper number 4 is in place. 4 snipers blocked 4 directions. No matter which direction Owen broke through, he would fall into the sniper's range, and the armed helicopters hovering in the air and the outer blockade line ensured that Owen could not drive away. The armed helicopter can only be used as a deterrent. Unless it is a last resort, it dare not be used at all. Otherwise, whether it is a heavy machine gun or a missile, it will make too much noise. But once Owen chooses to drive away, the missiles on board will be useful. One missile can easily kill Owen. SWAT, force the target out. Heatherly ordered. Snipers and armed helicopters are already in place. Now all that needs to be done is to force Owen out of the residential area. Go, go, go. Under the command of the captain, the SWAT tactical team formed a tactical formation and approached Owen. Holy shit. The big-mouthed beauty Jane hid in a room and peeked at the movement outside through the window. Her eyes swept over the official arrangements and her face was shocked. Even she had never seen such a big scene. This was basically a small war event to one. Fortunately, I didn't choose to stay with him, otherwise I would be dead. Jane muttered to herself. Yes, in her eyes, Owen was doomed. In this situation, no one could escape safely unless Owen chose to be a terrorist and hijack a large number of people. There would be a glimmer of hope. But would Owen do that? Owen, let's surrender, Ramsay said, trembling all over. Owen didn't answer. At this moment, he had naturally turned on the deep learning function of the academic master mode, and the whole person entered an absolutely rational state. He took the tablet computer with the semi-finished God's Eye in Ramsay's hand, and after a while of operation, he hacked all the cameras in the city. At this moment, his mind flashed, and he instantly understood why the authorities could find him. The early warning function of God's Eye is indeed easy to use, but everything has its pros and cons. When Owen turned on the early warning function to control the surveillance within a radius of 5 kilometers, he also exposed his position in disguise. If he met a top hacker, he could find Owen by following this clue. It's good to have experts among the people, but there are more experts in the official. The on-site commander of this operation is Heather Lee and the tactical command vehicle, the director of information technology of the CIA, and undoubtedly a top electronic information genius. The target signal has been lost. The target has blocked the surveillance of the entire city and turned off the Eye of God. Heather Lee Tong reported, everyone, please pay attention. The target may break out. Guard the blockades. She paused for a moment before ordering indifferently, if you find target number 1, kill it immediately. Received. Fuck. Let's surrender. Seeing that Owen didn't respond, Ramsay repeated fearfully, we can't run away. Owen glanced at her indifferently. The strength comparison, the response strategy, the pros and cons, had already been calculated in his super brain. The probability of a forced breakout was less than 10%, while the success rate was 50% if the people were coerced. As for why it was only 50%, it was because of Owen's identity and the value of Ramsay's Eye of God. The real big man behind the operation would definitely not mind making sacrifices. Afterwards, public opinion might explode for a while, but as long as it was handled properly, the matter was characterized as a terrorist activity, and a scapegoat was pushed out to bear the anger of the people. It would not have much impact on them at all. Moreover, Owen wanted to be the king of agents and achieve the king's hegemony. Has anyone ever seen the king of agents use innocent people as a shield? That is the method of assassins, killers, gangsters, terrorists, and scoundrels. Super agents disdain to do that. Beep beep. Thinking of this, Owen suddenly heard a horn in his consciousness. Master, you have comprehended the heart of the king and gained 100 points. You can trigger skill 5, Spider Sense, foresee danger. You need to consume 5 driver cards and 200 existence points. Do you want to exchange? After exchanging the ultimate fighting skill last time, Owen had 6 driver cards left and 11 existence points. After killing the strongest killer John Wick, he gained 100 points. With the 100 points this time, it is just enough to exchange. Exchange. Owen's eyes lit up, and he chose to exchange without hesitation. At this time, nothing could make Owen happier than to gain powerful skills. Confirm the exchange. The exchange is successful. Please check it. When the voice of the American TV series system fell, a wonderful feeling filled his body. At the same time, when Owen exited the American TV series system in his consciousness and returned to reality, a creepy sense of crisis came over him. Owen raised his hand and saw that the hair on his arm stood up. This was a sign of extreme danger. Fire in the hole. The SWAT tactical team finally advanced to the room where Owen was. After a slight explosion, The door was kicked open, followed by flash bombs and concussion bombs. The team members wearing tactical sunglasses rushed in a tactical formation. Chapter 165 King's Moment. Los Angeles. Clear. 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 Tactical terms were shouted out by the SWAT team members, but they did not feel safe at all, because they did not find the target at the designated location, which was obviously not a good sign. Bang, bang, bang. Just as everyone was on alert, bursts of gunfire came from behind. Enemy attack. At 6 o'clock, the SWAT captain shouted in the communicator, "FK. Captain." The remaining team members naturally judged the enemy's position from the gunfire, but when they turned around quickly and raised their guns to aim behind them, they found that Owen had already invaded them. All they could see were the shaking bodies of their teammates. Even though they were experienced in many battles, they did not dare to shoot at this time. "Back off. Keep your distance." The captain of the SWAT tactical team saw Owen in the crowd like a tiger into a flock of sheep, and his elite subordinates who were usually able to fight 10 people alone were as weak as little girls. He immediately realized that Owen, who had caused a great loss to the tough agent Luke Hobbs, was indeed worthy of his reputation. How could he dare to let Owen get close? The remaining team members retreated in a panic, but their guns were always pointed at Owen, ready to shoot him at any time. Holy shit. But just as they took a few steps, Owen grabbed a SWAT member and threw him like a sandbag. His teammate's body blocked most of the shooting angle, and they still couldn't shoot. What made them want to tear their eyes out was that Owen followed their teammate's flying body and approached again. HMPH. Ah. A series of muffled groans sounded, representing the team members being knocked down one by one. What kind of monster is this? After this thought came to the mind of the captain of the SWAT tactical team, he swept across the empty aisle, where no one was standing, and his eyes went black, and he lost all consciousness. Outside the building, inside the tactical command vehicle, all SWATs have fallen. Heather Lee saw the battle process through the helmet camera carried by the SWAT team, and announced solemnly, "Sir, the combat power of target number 1 is too strong. It is recommended to surround the building and recruit more snipers to lock every view. Guard the building. I will send more snipers immediately." The CIA director was silent for a moment and replied coldly, "They have overestimated Owen as much as possible, otherwise they would not use such a big scene, but they did not expect to underestimate Owen. An elite SWAT special operations team that can fight a small local war was crushed by Owen in an instant. How incredible. What kind of monster did you create?" The CIA director murmured in his heart. Although he did not know the details of the harvest plan, with his many years of intelligence work experience, he certainly would not think that Owen's super combat power appeared out of thin air. From the confidential orders from above, and thinking of the Jason Bourne incident, he more or less guessed some of the circumstances of the harvest plan. This is like an upgraded version of the Jason Bourne incident. Everyone guard the entrances and exits, and kill target number 1 immediately if you find him. Heather Lee received the affirmation from her superiors, and immediately emphasized in the communicator, "Don't give target number 1 any chance to get close." Got it? Fuck. Compared to the calm response of the sniper on the high-rise building, the police hiding behind the blockade formed by police cars looked at each other, and their chubby bodies shrank even tighter with extreme flexibility. They moved their throats slightly, clenched the raised pistols, and looked at the direction of the building with a nervous face. SWAT actually failed. It seems so, otherwise it is impossible that there would be no movement at all, but they repeatedly emphasized not to let target number 1 get close. Hiss, it's only been a while. I didn't hear many gunshots. Target number 1 is Asian. I'm afraid he knows other shore kung fu. You know, other shore kung fu is very scary. It's almost like the superpowers in science fiction movies. I hate other shore kung fu. Several police officers leaned together and whispered, "Stay there and don't move. I'll defeat them and pick you up." While Owen was picking up equipment from the fallen SWAT team members, he talked to Ramsey, who was hiding through the headset. "Defeat them?" Ramsey's voice trembled, and he couldn't believe it. "Are you kidding?" There was a dragnet outside, and she had no idea whether Owen could take her away. Now Owen told her that he would defeat the other party first, and then pick her up. It sounded like a joke. Maybe there was another possibility, that is, Owen wanted to abandon her as a burden. "Wait for me." time was running out, and Owen didn't mean to explain in detail. After changing into a full set of SWAT tactical equipment, he went downstairs with a gun and walked out of the building. The longer he stayed in this place, the more dangerous it would be. God knew what the other party would do if he was cruel. He didn't dare to gamble his life on the other party's character. At the door of the building, Owen held two guns. His breath was steady. Under the deep learning function of the academic master mode, he was absolutely rational, fearless of life and death, and his strong physique provided strong support, and he pushed the door open heavily. Found target number 1. Fire. 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 On the official communication channel, the shouts of shooting came one after another. Under Heatherly's repeated emphasis, they were so nervous that they didn't even want to ask for instructions and opened fire directly. Bang. Bang bang bang. The first to open fire were the snipers on the opposite high-rise building, and then the police behind the police car. The dense gunfire showed the determination of the official to kill Owen. At the moment, when Owen pushed the door and the other party opened fire, Owen's pupils shrank, and everything around him slowed down. Dense bullets slid in the air and bombarded him. The trajectory of the bullets was clearly visible. In an absolutely rational state, the intelligence of the LV5+ genius mathematician was running at high speed, and instantly calculated the clear coordinates of each bullet shooter. Owen rolled and jumped, and with the addition of strength, speed, and ultimate fighting skills, he narrowly avoided the bombardment of bullets. In midair, the high-powered pistols in both hands had fired bullets one by one, hitting enemies one by one with perfect trajectories. Bang, bang, bang. In the official command channel, the video of sniper number 3 suddenly went black, and then a series of shouts sounded in the communication channel. Sniper number 3 fell. The number 3 blockade suffered heavy losses, and target number 1 is about to break through. The co-pilot of the armed helicopter hovering in the air reminded, "Do you want to launch an attack?" The heavy machine guns under the armed helicopter were already in place, aimed at Owen below. As long as the commander gave an order, thousands of bullets per minute could cover Owen like a heavy rain. P.S. Thanks to Derek's for the reward. Chapter 166. The Other Shore Hero. Los Angeles. No. Heatherly flatly refused. Target number 1 only injured the police officers and made them lose their combat effectiveness. Now target number 1 is mixed in the crowd. If he shoots, he will accidentally hurt his own people. Shit. The CIA director couldn't help but swear, disgusted by Owen's obvious defiance. Bang, bang, bang. Just when everyone was feeling sorry and helpless, continuous gunshots rang out. What's going on? Sir, target number 1 is attacking Apache number 10. The co-pilot of the Apache helicopter gripped the weapon control handle tightly, resisting the urge to fire, and reported back. Hull. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. This is an Apache helicopter. The outer steel plates are specially reinforced to defend against the bombardment of ordinary shells. The glass window in front of the driver has been specially designed with a small area and a very high bulletproof thickness. The rotor above has also been specially treated. It is completely a fantasy to want to kill the driver with a gun to achieve the effect of destroying the Apache helicopter. Let alone using a gun. Even if it was the RPG in the movie, it would be a blind cat catching a dead mouse. If you wanted to shoot down an armed helicopter, it was pure luck. Boom. 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 No. The tail wing was hit. We are going to fall. Help. Help. At this time, amid the sound of gunfire that never stopped, mixed with the sound of grenade explosions, the pilot of the Apache armed helicopter exclaimed, "How is it possible?" The CIA director's face was extremely gloomy. "Sir, target number 1 threw a grenade at Apache number 10. The opponent's power was amazing and accurately hit the tail wing of the Apache," Heatherly reported. Not only the CIA director was silent, but also the Harvest Project team who watched the battle with higher authority. Washington, D.C. National Research Assessment Team. "It's incredible." A big white man with a villain face muttered, "How can he be so strong?" At this point, his eyes lit up and sparkled. "It seems that our plan was successful. Number 9 is indeed the strongest and most stable experimental subject. We must recover him, or at least get his body." Enough. Rick Baer, the person in charge of the Harvest Project, shouted, "I don't care how interested you are in him. Please remember our primary goal now, to eliminate him at all costs. Understand? Yes. The villain face lowered his head and responded. In such a privileged organization, no one dared to contradict the will of the superior, because that would mean that you would most likely disappear silently, leaving no trace at all. Can we catch him? The female team member who was responsible for cover and intelligence work looked at the messy battlefield in the video and murmured with lack of confidence, such a powerful ability is completely different from other experimental subjects. It crushes such a powerful attack formation head on and destroys the plane with grenades. This is completely the method of the other side hero. When Owen became the target, she restudied Owen's information. Because of Owen's special nature, she also specially looked up the magical events on the other side. She was deeply impressed by the magical methods of the other side hero. She used to sneer at them, but now she is deeply shocked. Oh my god, those incredible magical methods that look like jokes may all exist in reality. This is simply terrible. No one. Number 2. Number 4. Everyone rush to position number 3 and be sure to kill target number 1. Heather Lee ordered. Got it. Got it. Got it. The snipers from 3 directions quickly evacuated their original positions and rushed to the number 3 blockade where Owen was. Ramsey, get down, let's get out of here. While Owen informed Ramsey, he drove out the battle car he had assembled and parked in the underground parking lot. Without the threat of armed helicopters, his racing car with tens of thousands of horsepower was useful. When the other 3 snipers arrived, Ramsey went downstairs tremblingly. Bang, bang, bang. After 3 gunshots, Owen passively entered the spider sense again and calculated the coordinates of the sniper according to the trajectory of the bullet in the same way. He fired 3 shots in the backhand and killed 3 snipers directly from 800 meters away. Get in the car. Owen pushed open the door of the co-pilot seat and shouted to the stunned Ramsey. Buzz buzz buzz. When Ramsey got in the car in confusion according to Owen's instructions, Owen stepped on the accelerator, knocked away the intercepting police car, and rushed out of the city quickly. The target drove away from the scene. Heather Lee, who saw this scene through the camera in the on-site command vehicle, said quickly, "Can you lock onto the target's whereabouts?" The CIA director said coldly, "No." Heather Lee quickly operated the computer and replied, "After the other party hacked the city's surveillance, they turned off the God's Eye. It will take time to restore the city's surveillance. If we can't lock onto the target in time, we will soon lose the target's whereabouts." Damn. Everyone who heard the news cursed. In a place like Los Angeles, sending out one armed helicopter is already the limit. It's a joke to want to dispatch another one in a short time. According to the video analysis from the previous surveillance, the maximum speed of Owen's modified car is close to 400 km per hour. By the time they dispatched the armed helicopter, Owen would have run away. You know, the maximum speed of the Apache armed helicopter is only 365 km per hour. Do they have to send out fighter jets? Holy shit. Jane, a big-mouthed beauty hiding in a residential building, watched Owen's domineering counterattack the whole time and shouted in amazement, "This is possible." Even though she is a top killer, she never thought that Owen would be so sharp. This is no longer the scope of a top killer, it is completely the magical operation of those superheroes in comics. So domineering, so amazing. Jane, who is in a 5-year marriage with her husband, who is nominally an ordinary person, has not released hormones for several months. Her heart is warmed. A strong woman like her is easily attracted by a man as domineering as Owen. After Owen drove away and lost his figure, Jane licked her thick lips and left quickly. Virginia, Langley, CIA headquarters. Everyone, please talk. The CIA director was silent for a long time and said in a hoarse voice. Everyone was silent. Owen's strength exceeded their imagination. For a while, they were a little helpless. "Sir, we need help." Heather Lee still suggested calmly. "Helper?" The CIA director chewed on the word. "What helper?" "Jason Bourne." Heather Lee said a name that made them shudder. "I have studied his information. From his experience step by step, he is still a patriot deep in his heart. As long as he can be persuaded, with his ability, the possibility of dealing with target number 1 will be higher." Chapter 167 A Woman's Sincerity. Virginia, Langley, CIA headquarters. Go on. After a long silence, the CIA director motioned Heather Lee to continue. The current situation is very clear. Heather Lee said calmly, Jason Bourne was once our man. He had various misunderstandings due to his amnesia before. These are internal conflicts that can be reconciled, but target number 1 is a must-kill target. When we are not sure enough to deal with target number 1, it is possible to consider trying to win over our former super ace Jason Bourne. If successful, Jason Bourne will kill target number 1. If unsuccessful, Jason Bourne will be eliminated by target number 1, and we will continue to find new ways to deal with target number 1. This is all acceptable, isn't it? Yes. The CIA director nodded. But are you sure you can persuade Jason Bourne? I can try my best. Heather Lee raised her voice confidently. Go ahead and do it. The CIA director said in a deep voice. Time is running out. Heather, whether you succeed or fail, you must hurry up. Yes, sir. Heather Lee responded loudly. The CIA director nodded, left the meeting room, and came to his own office. He stood in front of the French window, pondered for a while, walked to his desk, picked up the phone, and dialed a number. London. A handsome white man walked to an ATM machine, looked around secretly, stood on tiptoe, and aimed his eyes at the camera that suddenly extended from the ATM machine. After a pupil scan, lines of text began to appear quickly on the ATM screen. The agent's identity has been confirmed. Hello, Ethan. Today, Los Angeles sent out SWAT and CIA elite agents to try to kill and capture 2 targets. The Los Angeles police also dispatched a large number of police forces to block and surround them, along with an Apache attack helicopter. But the result was that target number 1 single-handedly wiped out the SWAT team, killed 4 CIA elite snipers, destroyed the Apache attack helicopter, injured a large number of police officers, broke through the blockade and escaped, causing a major negative impact. Your mission, if you accept it, is to use all your strength to kill target number 1 as soon as possible and capture target number 2. If you can't capture him, choose to kill him. As usual, if you and your team are captured and killed, the supervisor will say that he is not aware of your actions, and this message will be automatically destroyed in 5 seconds. Good luck, Ethan. The text jumped to this point and disappeared. A bright red countdown number appeared on the screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Handsome Ethan frowned and left the ATM. After watching the ATM automatically destroy itself, he called his old partner, computer expert Benji. New York. Are you sure? Cepha said with a strange look after listening to Jane, who had flown back to New York in advance, describing the battle in Los Angeles. 100% sure. Jane nodded affirmatively. The opponent's strength is incredible. From a safety perspective, I don't recommend the boss to contact the opponent. Although this is our base camp, once the opponent has evil intentions, we have no guarantee of guaranteeing the boss's safety. What kind of person do you think he is? Cepha smiled non-committally. From the official deployment and the fact that no past information can be found, he should be a super agent secretly cultivated by the official, just like Jason Bourne, who has recently become known to the world. Jane narrowed her eyes and blurted out, obviously considering this problem, given the nature of the official, it must be because of some things that they wanted to wipe out the other party, but they were strongly resisted, which led to the current mess. Yeah. Seven nodded and said, this possibility is very high, but I'm concerned about his relationship with Ramsey. From the previous information, we can know that he kidnapped Ramsey because of the Eye of God. But he did not choose to kill Ramsey afterwards, but became very close to Ramsey from this point of view. His danger to us is much lower, and the possibility of being won over by us is also higher. The killer organization under her is all women, and they are all specially trained beauties. She herself is also a great beauty. For a man who cannot restrain his desires, she naturally has a certain attraction. What he wants is the Eye of God. Jane interrupted. Once he gets it, with his character as a super agent, the possibility of him silencing Ramsey is as high as 90%. After all, he has suffered a strong blow from the authorities. No matter how strong he is, carrying such a burden is very troublesome and dangerous. That's right. Sefer did not look displeased, but what you didn't notice is that the other party has obviously recreated the Eye of God and even improved it so that it can automatically warn. I don't believe that Ramsey is capable of making such improvements in such a dangerous state. Then there is only one truth. He is also a top hacker and the kind of super hacker with ideas and inspiration. Now that the Eye of God is completed, Ramsey has only one function for him besides being a burden. Jane licked her thick lips and said strangely, such a man cannot be bound by desires. Sefer smiled and said, this is just a spare bargaining chip. It's more of an exchange of interests. He has the Eye of God and powerful abilities we need, and we have the power cover he needs. It's a win-win for both sides. This is the fundamental reason why I took the risk to win him over. But how can we guarantee his loyalty? It's simply the core issue. Haha. Sefer smiled confidently. There is no absolute loyalty in the world. There are only enough interests. It is definitely his best choice to cooperate with a woman like me who is strong, has great dreams, and knows how to share. I believe he will make the right choice. Jan Yu said eagerly, do you need me to test him first? No. Sefer shook his head and said, you have been out for too long, you should go back first, otherwise your cover identity will be in trouble. I will send Sharon to test first. They are all Asians, and maybe there are more topics to talk about. Let him feel our sincerity first. Sharon, are you okay? Yes, boss. The Asian beauty killer Sharon stood aside and responded indifferently. This kind of slightly humiliating order, for her who had experienced the adult graduation ceremony and felt ashamed, she had long been accustomed to it and had no psychological fluctuations at all. Very good. Sefer smiled meaningfully and said, use the knowledge you have learned to make him feel our sincerity. They are all subordinates, but for Sefer, there are also close and distant ones. Obviously, Jane is a direct descendant, and it is natural that the direct descendant cannot be sent to test this kind of cannon fodder mission. Of course, if Owen shows enough sincerity in order to deepen the close cooperation between them, she doesn't mind putting more chips on the line. Chapter 168 Mr. and Mrs. Smith, New York, Marriage Counseling Center. On either side of a coffee table with cups, there was a pair of single sofas, on which sat a man and a woman. The man was handsome, the woman was pretty, and not far from them, a middle-aged man wearing glasses, gentle and elegant, sat there, holding a pen and paper, and looking at them. Mr. Smith, tell me something. Okay, I'll go first. The handsome Mr. Smith rubbed his hands and smiled awkwardly. Actually, we don't need to come here. We have been married for 5 years. It's 6 years. The beautiful and plump Mrs. Smith next to him interrupted. 5 or 6 years. Mr. Smith glanced at his wife next to him and revised his previous statement, but it was not difficult to see the reluctance in his words. This is a kind of inspection for us, to check the engine condition, change the oil, change 1 or 2 parts. Puff. Mrs. Smith next to him suddenly laughed when she heard this. What's wrong? Mr. Smith looked over strangely. Nothing. Mrs. Smith shook her head and said, I just think this metaphor is very vivid. She said so, but she couldn't help but have a thought in her heart. After using the most advanced and powerful racing car with a modified engine of tens of thousands of horsepower to race, and then replacing it with the original engine, even if the oil and parts are changed, can it really return to the feeling of 1000 horsepower in the past? Okay. After writing a few words on the paper, the marriage counselor raised his head and smiled. In this case, let's open the hood and take a look. How happy are you out of 10? 101 points. Mrs. Smith blurted out, and when she saw Mr. Smith looking at her in surprise, she immediately realized that the marriage counselor was not asking her about her feeling of racing at work. After all, he was a top killer. This means of concealing emotions is very skilled. She said calmly, this was in the past. What about now? The marriage counselor said gently. 8 points. No, 6 points. Mrs. Smith shrugged. In the past, she might have given it an 8, but nothing can be compared. Now she can only give it a 6 out of friendship, 5 of which are given for the 6 years of husband and wife relationship. 6 points. Mr. Smith curled his lips and lowered the 8 points to 6. How often do you clap for love? The marriage counselor asked the most critical and core question in marriage. I don't understand this question. Do you also use the standard of 10 to answer? Mr. Smith embarrassedly pretended to be stupid and said, you know, strictly speaking, 0 is not once. Let's talk about this week. The marriage counselor said helplessly. Mr. Smith was speechless. Seeing that Mrs. Smith was a little absent-minded, his heart sank. He put his hands on Mrs. Smith's ears and clapped. What's wrong? Mrs. Smith came back to her senses and asked in confusion. What were you thinking about just now? Mr. Smith said with a green face. He always felt that Mrs. Smith had changed in the past week after returning from a business trip, but he couldn't tell what had changed. Because their indifference has lasted for several months without an open and in-depth communication, how can they know what the problem is? This is also the reason why he agreed to participate in this embarrassing marriage counseling. I'm counting the frequency of our applause for love. Mrs. Smith said lightly, if you want me to say, it's better to count it in years. What do you think? Ahem. Mr. Smith coughed dryly a few times and felt that he was too suspicious. Their problem was not who cheated or not. Besides, if she really dared to cheat, would she really think that he, a top killer, was just eating dry food? Let's talk about how you met. The marriage counselor took a deep look at Mrs. Smith. Although Mrs. Smith concealed it very well, he had been doing marriage counseling for many years and had seen all kinds of strange things between couples. He had trained a pair of sharp eyes. He saw that Mrs. Smith had a problem at a glance, but he couldn't point it out, so he could only change the subject. That was in Bogota, Colombia, 5 years ago. A smile appeared on Mr. Smith's lips. Mrs. Smith opened her mouth and instinctively wanted to refute it again. It was 6 years ago, but she swallowed the words when she met the marriage counselor's meaningful eyes. This marriage counseling session passed as the couple recalled their sweet encounter in the past. Before leaving, the marriage counselor pondered and said, I suggest that you have a separate consultation first, recognize your true thoughts, and then face and solve them together. What do you think? Okay. Mrs. Smith saw the marriage counselor looking at her and thought of the marriage counselor's eyes just now and nodded in agreement. No problem for me. Mr. Smith said indifferently. Okay. The marriage counselor smiled and said, Mrs. Smith will be scheduled at 4 p.m. next Monday, and Mr. Smith will be scheduled at 4 p.m. next Tuesday. You are welcome to come on time. I will definitely be there on time. On the way back, in the car, what do you think of Dr. Whistler? Mrs. Smith asked casually while driving. I feel that his questions are a bit irrelevant. It's true that there is not much constructive meaning. Mr. Smith said casually, you have been very busy at work recently. Mrs. Smith saw Mr. Smith looking at her with his peripheral vision, and her heartbeat stagnated. The scene of working overtime with her colleague Charlene this week to win over new people emerged in her mind. Even the boss personally took part in the battle. How could they not be attentive? However, after entering the working state, I feel really fulfilled and happy. The Cold War with life is completely ice and fire. This may be what people often say, the sense of accomplishment. It's just that I feel a little neglected, and oh my husband. With a flash of inspiration, she thought of a question and blurted out, who is Rachel? What? Mr. Smith was shocked. Who is Rachel Green? Seeing Mr. Smith's reaction, Mrs. Smith immediately understood that there was an affair. She was a woman with a very strong possessiveness. The previous guilt and uneasiness were swept away, and she questioned Mr. Smith with burning eyes. This week, while working overtime, Owen Lee, the newbie in the company, looked up at her, the company's senior boss, and trembled. At that moment, he accidentally said, Rachel Green, I'm avenging you. At that time, she wanted to ask who Rachel Green was, but because she was too tired, she had no energy to ask. The same thing happened in the following working days. If it wasn't for Mr. Smith's warning just now, she would not have remembered Rachel Green at all. Now, Mr. Smith must answer this fatal question. P.S. Thank you for the reward from the Demon World Fox. The extra chapter will be released as soon as possible. Chapter 169 Peaceful Female Crocodile. New York. Room 5003, 570 Lexington Avenue. Good morning, Jane. Jane got on the special elevator, and after confirming her identity through electronic scanning, she arrived at the 50th floor of the building. After the sci-fi door opened, a woman in a women's suit, who looked very capable, stood at the entrance and bowed to greet her. "Good morning, sisters." Jane handed her handbag and coat to the other party and walked inside. All the women who came into view were dressed in the same way, busy there. Seeing Jane coming, one woman brought Jane freshly brewed coffee, and another woman quickly followed Jane and asked Jane about the purchase of arms. "These are the G40 list, and these are the grenade list. Add 10 more." Jane took the list, glanced at it, and ordered, "Yes." The subordinate took the list and left in response. Jane sat in the boss chair, stretched her legs on the desk, took a sip of coffee, and was refreshed. She said to the female assistant, "Where is the new guy?" "He." The female assistant said with a strange look on her face, "In the apartment upstairs. The boss and Charlene are also there. They are personally introducing the organization structure and future development direction to him." "Still upstairs?" Jane opened her mouth slightly in shock. "Didn't the boss leave yesterday?" "He was always here." The female assistant's face became more and more strange. "The only one who left is you, Jane. The boss really values the new guy." Jane couldn't help but think of the scene of them working together in harmony to personally guide the company's newbie Owen, from the boss to the middle and senior management to the elite employees. This new guy is really too strong, in every sense. The female assistant sighed. "No wonder the boss and Jane think so highly of him. I'll go up and take a look." Jane unconsciously put her legs together and put them down and stood up. "Is dinner still at 1900 hours tonight?" The female assistant remembered that Jean had worked overtime in the previous few working days, interrupting the precise dinner time of the housewife who was hiding her identity and couldn't help reminding her. A top killer like Jane, who is also the leader of a female killer organization, naturally would not cook by herself. In the past 6 years of marriage, every night's dinner was arranged by her female subordinates, and she just pretended to cook. No need today. Jane was stunned, thinking of what she learned last night. Her husband actually had a deep past with Rachel Green mentioned by Owen. She was jealous and snorted coldly, "I have prepared a healthy meal for him." Yes. Upstairs apartment. As soon as Jean opened the door, she heard the excited voice of her boss Sefer. "Owen, have you heard of the selection theory? This theory has many formulas, and the two most important points are, first, we can only control our own behavior, and second, the only thing we can give to each other is information. So tell me, did you receive the information we gave you?" Very clear and vivid. Owen, who was communicating with Charlene attentively, looked over, nodded and smiled. "Are you satisfied with my answers these days?" "Very satisfied." Sefer gave a high evaluation. "You are so powerful that you can be my right-hand man. Our cooperation can bring greater peace to the world and tell those superpowers who are wantonly provoking wars around the world that some boundaries cannot be broken. Peace." Owen stood up and looked down at Sefer. "You are talking about peace. Peace is peace." Sefer shook his loose blonde hair and looked back at Owen with some discomfort. "In this era, if there is no peace, where will peace come from? As long as we plan carefully and then convey the message we want to express to the world, believe me, the world will be more peaceful." "I agree." Owen nodded and smiled. "But I have a request." "You say?" Sefer frowned, but thinking of Owen's strength, he suppressed his displeasure and gave Owen the greatest respect. "When you hold peace in your hands, you can set off some fireworks in the sky for the world to see." Owen said seriously, "But I don't want you to really use millions of humans for demonstration. We are the reformers of order, not anti-human super terrorists." "But what if they don't listen to us?" Sefer said coldly. "Peace is the big framework." Owen introduced the topic and said, "But under peace, there are still various local chaos, right? Whoever can control the local chaos is the most powerful person under peace. I'm willing to charge forward and help you become such a person." "Really?" Sefer was shocked and surprised. "You know, for super agents like Owen, almost no one likes such a life. Why do so many soldiers return to the city and pretend to be a game of flowers? There is a theoretical basis, not random writing." Sefer pulled Jane and Charlene to win over Owen so much, just to let Owen help her, but there has not been much progress in winning over. Owen actually offered to help her for this reason. This is really surprising. Of course. Owen stroked Sepha's loose blonde hair and said sincerely, I have always wanted to be a king of agents and achieve the hegemony of the king, but in the past, no matter how strong a person was, he was a little weak. Let's work together. I will help you settle all the things that make you unhappy. You just need to help me create a relatively safe environment. A relatively safe environment? Sepha chewed on Owen's words. That's right. Owen narrowed his eyes when the other side used a big bomb to deal with me without caring about the lives of the people. You could kindly remind them not to go too far. I see. Sepha suddenly realized, with your strength, it is almost impossible for the other side to deal with you by conventional means. With my peace deterrence, they dare not use unconventional means. You can indeed achieve the hegemony of the king of agents. And you will also become the most powerful woman in the world. Owen smiled and said, because you not only have peace, but also the most powerful conventional mobile force. What do you think? I can consider it. Sepha hummed without comment. As the leader of a super criminal group who seeks peace on his own, Sepha is shrewd, cold, cruel, and strong. Although he is tempted, he will never accept Owen's idea completely because of what Owen said. It seems I need to persuade him more forcefully. Owen raised his lips and smiled playfully. A hint of murderous intent flashed across his eyes as he looked down at Sepha's back. If Sepha disagreed, he could only destroy her with ruthless hands. He didn't want to leave his back to a cold and powerful woman who disagreed with him. Fortunately, his suggestion was still very attractive to Sepha. What he had to do now was to dispel Sepha's last hesitation and make Sepha truly recognize him. If it were someone else, this would be a nearly impossible task. But who made him have the skills? Jane, why are you still standing there? Sepha shouted. I'm coming. Jane threw off her windbreaker and stepped forward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 The King of Agents. Washington, D.C. National Research Assessment Team. Look at this, and look at this again. Can anyone tell me what the hell is going on? Can an Owen Lee be lawless? Rick Baer, the head of the Harvest Project, threw a copy of the top secret documents on the table and yelled at the team members. The team members stared at the top secret documents on the table and bowed their heads in silence. One is that the military base in Berlin lost an electromagnetic pulse weapon. During the loss, the military base was greatly damaged and a picture of Owen was taken. This electromagnetic pulse weapon can paralyze the power grid of a large city. It is a weapon of mass destruction with amazing power. One is that the higher level polar bears came to visit and staged a flood of zombie cars and a rain of zombie cars in New York, blocking the high level polar bears and the encirclement of zombie cars, and the football they carried was taken away by Owen. The last one, Polar Bear Vladolf, a naval submarine base, was first occupied by terrorists and then attacked by Owen alone, hijacking a submarine carrying dozens of peace missiles. This time, the CIA's IMF and the FBI's tough agent Luke Hobbs arrived in time with the Fast and Furious team and staged a spy war with Owen in the ice and snow kingdom of Vladov. The IMF, who always completed one impossible task after another, finally lived up to his reputation this time and was killed by Owen in the ice and snow. The legendary agent Ethan Hunt died for his country. Tough agent Luke Hobbs and the Fast and Furious team sank into the deep sea under the ice and never came up again. The submarine sailed into the Atlantic Ocean and disappeared without a trace. Owen Lee, an experiment that the Harvest Project wanted to erase, has now caused such a stir in the world that even the Harvest Project team, with high authority, can't suppress it. Rick Baer, the person in charge, was called over to accept the questioning of the top leaders, and he was overwhelmed for a while. Ding-ling-ling. The phone rang. Rick Baer was shocked. In the past few days, he was almost collapsed by the questioning. When he heard the phone ring, his nerves were almost sensitive. This is the National Research Assessment Team. The female member in charge of cover and intelligence picked up the phone with great tact. After taking it, her face changed. Sir, this is for you, Owen Lee. What do you want to do? Rick Baer took the phone and asked in a deep voice. It's nice to hear your voice again, sir. The image of Rick Baer emerged in Owen's mind as one of the 9 experimental subjects, each worth $30 million. Owen naturally met Rick Baer, the general manager. In fact, everyone, including Owen, was recruited by Rick Baer himself. In order to repay your care all the time, I will give you a gift you will never forget. Listening to Owen's playful voice, Rick Baer felt cold all over and resisted the chill. What gift? Sir, the top secret data room is alerted, and a large number of top secret documents have been stolen. The female member in charge of intelligence looked at the red alarm on the phone and reminded in a trembling voice. It seems you already know. Owen smiled and said, modern society emphasizes transparency and fairness. It's time to expose your secret tricks to the world. Be prepared. Maybe you'll become an internet celebrity. FK. Rick Baer cursed after the other end of the phone hung up. Each of these top secret documents is of great importance. Once disclosed, it will cause huge losses and a strong public opinion storm. In order to keep it confidential, many of them are paper documents. The relevant electronic data are also isolated from the external network. The periphery of the location is heavily guarded. There was no possibility of leakage. But now Owen's appearance has torn this security protection to pieces. Owen not only has powerful hacking skills, but also the best team support. The most important thing is that he has desperate combat power and agent ability. One by one, impossible things have been achieved under Owen's hands. If Owen is determined to go against them, Rick Baer dare not imagine the consequences. In a way, Rick Baer was right in saying to Owen and the other 9 that he was a patriot, but it was precisely because of his patriotism that he became more frightened and angry. And then, Owen did not disappoint him. Project Harvest, Project Stumbling Block, Project Black Heather, Project Deep Dream. One after another, top secret and dark plans were disclosed, shocking the world. The CIA director and national security advisor were affected and left the stage one by one. There were more shadows like Rick Baer who were quietly erased. New York. Is this your revenge? Sefer curled his lips and said, just wait and see. After this group of people step down, the people who come to power will still repeat the stories of their predecessors. People are forgetful and their attention will soon be diverted to all kinds of entertainment gossip. It doesn't matter. Owen stroked Sefer's blonde hair and said indifferently, isn't this the boundary we talked about before? I don't expect to bring down the other party. Otherwise, even if I'm invincible, there will be a great crisis of being wiped out. When they make trouble around the world again for their own interests, I will take action again and expose all the darkness behind the scenes to the world. After 1, 2, and 3 times, I don't believe they won't restrain themselves. What you do is simply to make them hate you to the core. Jane quickly disassembled the gun, put down the pistol after hearing the words, and looked up. This is the effect we want. Owen's mouth curled up. Although they don't admit it, they all agree on one thing in their hearts. What is it? Sharon beside him whispered. Ever since Owen helped her kill the attacking Longsa Bureau, Sharon's cold killing weapon began to warm up and automatically develop towards the direction of hot weapons. He is the king of agents. Sefer said Owen's thoughts. He has the hegemony of the king. Owen patted Sefer's head in fear and smiled with satisfaction. Beep beep. At this moment, the system's horn sounded in his mind. Master, complete the system task, become the king of agents, achieve the hegemony of the king, and can return to the positive universe at any time. System, display the attribute panel. Yes, Master. With the American TV system's response, the attribute panel appeared in Owen's consciousness. Existence points. 11 plus 200. 1 equals 210 points. Positive and negative poles are cleared. Driver cards. 4. Alyssa Page, Charlene, Jane Smith, Sefer. Honor titles. Kryptonian Scholar, Dolphin Lover, Eternal Kidney King, Male Public Enemy, Legendary Tuner, Supreme Conductor, Super Male Beast, Mathematics Professor, Single-Minded True Man, King of Car Agents in Akina Mountain Intelligence, LV5+, Next Level LV6, requires 2000 points. Strength, LV2+, Next Level LV3, limit value is 1T, requires 50 points. Speed, LV2+, next level LV3, limit value is 50 km per hour, requires 200 points. Endurance, LV3 next level LV3, requires 50 points. Energy release, LV1 combat skills, LV7 skill list, skill 1, eternal overfill gun skill 2, scholar mode skill 3, mysterious Chinese medicine skill 4, ultimate fighting skill 5, spider sense comeback. Now Owen has 210 existence points, and his strength, speed, and endurance can all be upgraded, but Owen did not upgrade immediately, accumulating and storing existence points to ensure a long life. Improving attributes and exchanging skills at critical moments is his best choice. There is nothing in this world worth his nostalgia. He has done all the tasks he should do, and when will he return? Chapter 171 Favorite Dimples. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Owen, why haven't I seen your beautiful female assistant recently? When everyone was having dinner together, Howard was as excited as ever. Yeah, it seems like it's been a while. Leonard looked over and agreed. She asked for leave. Owen smiled slightly. She said her boyfriend from the Marine Corps is back on leave. PFFT. What the FK? X3. Except for Sheldon, who didn't care at all. Leonard, Howard, and Rajesh all spit out the Thai food in their mouths and shouted in amazement. What's wrong? Owen pretended to be surprised. Ahem. You said she has a boyfriend, and her boyfriend is in the Marine Corps? Leonard patted his chest, coughed a few times, drank a sip of water, took a few deep breaths, and then returned to normal. Yes. Owen's mouth curled up. Didn't I tell you? So there's nothing between you and her, just a simple work relationship? Leonard asked in confusion. Yes. Owen said with certainty. We have always had the simplest working relationship. What are you thinking? So, you left a beautiful woman by your side and did nothing? Howard asked suspiciously. Interesting. Sheldon, who didn't care about these gossips, looked up and showed a thoughtful expression. That is to say, the last time I went to your office to find you, you really just praised her in there. How did you praise her? Howard asked. Hiss Alyssa, do you know what I like most about you? It's the pair of beautiful dimples on your cheeks. Sheldon cleared his throat, imitated Owen's tone, and accused. How can you do this? If you were in coitus, I can understand. After all, you are a super male creature and need to release hormones. But you just simply praise, which is a complete waste of time. If you work harder and don't praise your female assistant during work hours, perhaps mathematical theories will have subversive developments. Poof. Leonard and the other two burst out laughing again. Only a simple Sheldon would believe that Owen was simply praising Alyssa. I guess Alyssa didn't respond, right? Howard laughed obscenely. Didn't Owen also say that the deeper the dimples on your cheeks, the more beautiful they are? Rajesh murmured absent-mindedly. Oh, God. Leonard took out an asthma inhaler from his pocket, took a deep breath, and looked at Owen with naked envy and jealousy, shouting in his heart, it's so exciting. It's really killing me. Yes. How did you know? Sheldon said in surprise. Owen, you lucky dog. Howard complained. This is the simplest working relationship, you said. Huh? Yes. Owen said seriously. This is indeed the simplest working relationship. Have you forgotten what you said when you recruited? This is all the work scope of the female assistant of life. Scientific progress, of course, requires enough inspiration. The female assistant of life who is responsible for providing you with scientific inspiration. Howard opened his mouth and was speechless. As wretched as he is no match for the shameless Owen. Owen, aren't you worried about Alyssa's boyfriend? Rajesh said jealously. He's a Marine. So. Owen laughed. Are you still afraid that he will hit me? You know, I'm your muscle. In half a year, I will go to the Arctic to resist the attack of a 1,500-pound polar bear for you. Am I still afraid of a mere Marine? Rajesh was speechless, stood up, and moved to the bathroom with his legs clamped. They are both from an ancient Asian civilization, but why is Owen so outstanding that he doesn't even take the Marines seriously, and he is scared to death just by hearing the name? Alyssa has a boyfriend. Why did she apply to be your assistant? Leonard asked puzzledly. It's not that simple. Howard analyzed. The boyfriend is far away in the army, and Owen is a bachelor, recognized by women all over the world as the best lover. This assistant job is so popular, it's not surprising that Alyssa wants to take it. Okay. Leonard's mouth twitched. As a licker, he didn't love Penny as a person, but Penny's goddess status in his eyes. In fact, he truly loves every goddess, so he is very sad that the goddesses have fallen in front of Owen one after another. Bang bang bang. Hi, guys, you are having dinner. Penny pushed the door in. Do you want to join us? Leonard greeted enthusiastically as always. Tonight is Thai food. We have just started. No need. Penny waved her hand and said, what activities do you have tonight? Prepare to play chess and laser beams. Leonard said without any expression. Come on. Howard interrupted. Penny asked what activities Owen has, right? Penny raised her thumb. What do you think? Owen smiled. There's a party tonight. My friends heard that you and I are good friends, so they keep asking me to invite you over. Penny knew that Owen had no interest in her, so she pretended to be pitiful and said, I know you might not like it, so I've declined many times. This time they said that, if they can't invite you again, they won't take me over, so please, come with me, and have some fun. Party? What party? Howard suddenly became excited. Are there girls? Penny glanced at Howard, who was extremely wretched, and hesitated. She really wanted to pull Owen over to give herself face, but if she took Howard and the others with her, it would be hard to say whether it would be a face saving or a face losing. Next time. Owen declined. Penny's level meant that the quality of the party she attended was limited. For Owen now, it really had no appeal. It would be better for him to play games with Leonard and the others, which would be considered a vacation for himself. You know, whether it is a positive universe or the negative universe, he is very busy. There are really not many days off like this. You can't always be at the peak of life, and you have to be a sage occasionally. Owen, who was in the sage state, was not interested in Penny's invitation. How could a party be as fun as games? Games could at least enhance relationships and lay the foundation for becoming good friends. The friendship between Owen and Penny was already the highest level recognized by the system, because it was impossible for men and women to become good friends. In other words, this good friend was not that good friend. The difference of one word made a world of difference. When the relationship between Sheldon and the other two was stable, the 7-member group of the Big Bang Theory was officially formed. At that time, as long as Owen and the other 4 Sheldon had a good friend relationship, Penny and the other 2 would be able to provide Owen with a good friend level existence point. Therefore, Owen was not very concerned about managing his relationship with Penny. P.S. Thanks to the book friend 20180804015319419 for the reward. Chapter 170 to Time as a Butcher's Knife. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Okay. Faced with Owen's rejection, Penny couldn't tell whether she was disappointed or relieved. Her friends had indeed repeatedly urged her to invite Owen to play, because Owen was famous all over the world, and the scandal with the Eternal Gun Choir had made many girls become gun fans. And the crazy girls who hung out with Penny, who were so open-minded that they couldn't help but smack their lips, might cause trouble once they saw Owen. Boom, boom, boom. What's that sound? Sheldon looked up at the ceiling alertly. Oh, the people in room 5A upstairs are moving out. Penny said casually. Shh. Fuck. Leonard and others waved their hands. WHT. Sheldon dragged his voice and shouted in horror. The people upstairs are moving out. Penny repeated in confusion. No. Leonard slapped his forehead and shouted. Why did you say that? It's so scary, Sheldon murmured nervously. No, then what should I say? Penny was confused. Sheldon doesn't like change. Owen explained. Although he has never seen the residents upstairs once, it is precisely because of this that he likes the residents upstairs very much. Just like if Leonard listened to Sheldon and didn't say hello to you, Sheldon would definitely like you more than now. Yes. Sheldon nodded repeatedly. Penny rolled her eyes and was too lazy to complain. Let's change the topic. Leonard didn't want to be tortured by Sheldon, so he interrupted. Okay. Howard responded positively. He looked at Penny and said with a lewd smile, Penny, I want to take this opportunity to tell you that you look really charming today. Penny said with disgust, Howard, not even 1,000 umbrellas will do. Howard's brain circuits have always been very strange when it comes to this aspect. His eyes lit up, and he asked excitedly, so there really is a quantity? 1000 won't do. What about 2000? Haha. Owen joked. Enough, Howard. Is there any difference between 2000 umbrellas and those through pants, or through the air? Penny couldn't help but shudder, and looked at Owen strangely. She really couldn't understand how Owen, a dignified male god, could be so vulgar. Of course it's different. Howard didn't log off at all, and explained enthusiastically, the problem is not the 1000 or 2000 umbrellas, the key is, whether Penny is willing. As long as she is willing, a look is enough. Penny, where are you going? Seeing Penny get up and walk out without saying a word, Leonard said reluctantly, are you serious? Penny turned around and said coldly, Leonard paused, then remembered that Howard's words just now were really disgusting, and couldn't help but glared at Howard fiercely. Owen watched from the side with interest. If it were on the other side, if a good buddy dared to tease the goddess he had always pursued like this, he would turn against him in a minute. But in America, if Penny hadn't expressed strong dissatisfaction, Leonard wouldn't care at all. Just like later, when Rajesh wrote a poem for Howard's fiancée Bernadette. Compared with that poem, Howard's teasing of Penny now is as pure as a primary school student. Bang. Penny slammed the door and left. Howard, can you not be so disgusting next time? Leonard shouted in dissatisfaction. You were the one who said to change the subject. Howard muttered. How horrible. Leonard looked at Sheldon, who was still acting nervous, and then at Howard, who looked disgusting. He opened his mouth to say something, but finally gave up. 1 week later, at the staircase of TBBT apartment, Owen and his 5 friends walked out of the room and were about to go downstairs when they met Penny, who was coming back from get off work. Hi, Penny, you're off work. Leonard hurriedly greeted her. Ever since she was disgusted by Howard that night, Penny has ignored Leonard and the others for a whole week. Aha. Penny took out her keys and responded through her nose. We are going to the comic book store. Leonard stood behind Penny, smiling. Do you want to come with us? No, thank you. Penny shook her head. Though Leonard looked disappointed, and under Sheldon's urging, he reluctantly moved towards the stairs, his eyes still looking straight at Penny. Wait. Penny's heart softened, and she rolled her eyes. Yes. As soon as the voice fell, Leonard had already rushed in front of her, scaring her. My nephew is going to have a birthday. Can you help me pick out some comics? Penny pondered. I think you mean comic books. Sheldon couldn't help but interrupt and said, comics are just pale and powerless humor, with some talking little people, anthropomorphic pets. As he spoke, he shook his head and sighed. Who cares? Penny took a deep breath, and suppressed the urge to beat Sheldon up. Although she was unhappy with Sheldon, who always argued with her, she was particularly tolerant every time she saw Sheldon's silly face. Here's a 13-year-old kid, Leonard. Just pick a few books for him. Just pick a few books. Sheldon raised his voice, and was about to give a long speech, when he was interrupted by Owen. Penny, come together, otherwise Sheldon won't finish. Okay. Penny still gave Owen face, and turned to follow behind everyone, asking as she walked, is it the same comic book store as last time? Yes, Stewart's comic book store. Leonard turned his head and smiled. Be careful. But Leonard missed a step and almost fell down. Fortunately, with Owen's current strength, he easily grabbed Leonard's collar at the moment he fell, lifted him up in the air, and then gently put Leonard, who was dancing with joy, down. Leonard took out his asthma inhaler and inhaled wildly. Wow. Although Penny had heard reports that Owen might be able to learn kung fu, she was still shocked by the contrast when she saw Owen lifting Leonard in the air with his own eyes. Leonard pouted and thought to himself, should I let Owen teach me a few tricks? He was already very fond of Bruce Lee's kung fu, but because he was a typical sports incompetent otaku like Sheldon, he just thought about it. Now seeing Penny's expression, his enthusiasm rose for 3 minutes again. Downstairs. Stewart's comic book store. Hi, Leonard. Hi, Stewart. This is Penny. She wants to buy some comic books. Oh, really? Stewart walked up to Penny and whispered, if you didn't come here voluntarily, just blink twice. Haha. Penny was startled, then burst into laughter, and glanced at Stewart. This pale comic shop owner was different from the wretched and weird middle-aged uncle in her impression. He seemed quite humorous. Chapter 173 Green Superman. TBBT apartment. Stuart's comic book shop. Let me know if you need anything. Stuart left gracefully. He seems quite humorous, totally different from my previous impression. Penny couldn't help but say, Stuart is amazing. Leonard remembered the last time they chatted. Because of Stuart, Penny almost classified him as a middle-aged uncle. Seeing that Penny had changed her opinion of Stuart, he happily agreed. He is a top student at the Rhode Island School of Design and a talented artist. Wow, Penny exclaimed in a mysterious way. The Rhode Island School of Design, RISD for short, is a world-class design school that integrates art and design disciplines. Among the top 25 design schools in the world in the QS World University Rankings, RISD ranks third. Ahem. Seeing Leonard explaining Penny in detail, Owen couldn't help but cough and interrupted. Actually, he can't be called a genius artist. He should be called an art practitioner. If he was really a genius artist, he wouldn't open a comic book store here. No. Leonard retorted bluntly. Artists are casual. It's normal to open a comic book store. Comics are also a kind of art. Awesome. Owen was stunned and gave a thumbs up to Leonard, who was talking non-stop. Stuart? No, I'm talking about you. Me. Leonard's mouth curled up, raised his head slightly, and said happily, how am I awesome? You have an outstanding talent for greening. Owen smiled and said, if you go to plant trees and grass, you will definitely be an expert. Really? Leonard's mouth blossomed. Of course it's true. Owen saw Penny walking towards Stuart and continued to joke. If you were in the Marvel universe, with your greening ability, what would the Hulk be? You are simply the Green Superman. You are too flattering. Leonard couldn't help himself, but then asked in confusion, but why do you say that? Because Owen dragged his voice and pointed at the cashier. You personally assisted your rival. If you are not awesome, who is awesome? Leonard looked in the direction Owen pointed and saw Penny leaning against the cashier, holding the sketch that Stuart drew for her, flirting there. The smile on his face froze there, and a wail came out of his mouth. Just like Superman, you, the Green Superman, rely on chlorophyll for photosynthesis and absorb sunlight as energy. The more chlorophyll you have, the more sunlight you can absorb, and the stronger you are. Owen joked. What should I do? Leonard ignored Owen's jokes and begged. It's okay. Owen shrugged. You can only wait until Penny and Stuart break up. It's been 2 years anyway. You don't have to rush in the next few days. How could this happen? Leonard said painfully. Don't think too much. Owen patted Leonard on the shoulder and comforted him. If you want to live a decent life, you have to wear some green on your head. Since you like Penny so much, more green is like absorbing more sunlight. Green Superman. Leonard rolled his eyes and glared at Owen, but when he thought of the scene that Owen had interrupted intentionally just now, he immediately realized that it was not that Owen didn't help him, but that he was too stupid and too good at making trouble, and he was immediately discouraged. What's going on? After Howard and Sheldon failed in the competition for the new comic, they saw Penny and Stuart fighting fiercely at the cash register and asked in surprise. Rajesh and Sheldon also came over. When Owen explained the whole story, Howard clapped his hands and said, Green Superman. This title is perfect for Leonard. Agree. Agree. Rajesh and Sheldon agreed. The next day, Leonard, you look listless. Howard's face was full of concern. When Leonard waved his hand and said he was fine, he changed the subject. Have you stayed in the room for too long, without sunlight, and lacked energy? Green Superman. Ha ha ha. Rajesh laughed. Guys, Sheldon said seriously, I think Leonard is worried that Penny and Stuart will coitus after their date tonight, right, Leonard? Leonard heard the word coitus and glared at Sheldon fiercely. Sheldon didn't care while Leonard glared at him and stared back with bulging eyes. As always, Leonard was defeated and said dully, yes, yes. Sheldon clenched his fist and smiled happily. You guessed it right again. Do you want me to take you to the bar to pick up girls? Howard said casually. Yes. Leonard was shocked. He thought of the goddess he had been pursuing for 2 years, and he pushed her to Stuart. The previous praise about Stuart being a genius artist turned into artists being perverts and shameless bastards. Really? Howard's eyes lit up. Before Owen came, he had always been the one with the most Saiyan hormones in this otaku team. He had always boasted to Leonard about his great achievements in picking up girls in the bar, but in fact he was just bragging. But he didn't think so. He always put the reason for his failure in picking up girls on Rajesh. If he had Leonard, a less stupid wingman, he believed that his rich skills in picking up girls would definitely be a great success. Yes. Leonard stood up and gritted his teeth and shouted, "I can do it. I can do it. Yes. Yes. That's it." Howard was overjoyed, and while talking, he ran to the bathroom. "What are you doing?" Leonard was puzzled. "I'm going to take off my underwear first." Howard's voice came from the bathroom. "Why?" Leonard was confused. "If I'm lucky enough to get on base tonight, I don't want to be stuck in the underwear of the Sea King." Howard laughed. Leonard was speechless, shrugged for a while and said, "That's right, I'll change too. Wait for me." Rajesh followed closely. The three of them went into battle without any underwear, and led by Howard to a bar. "What should we do now? Just go and pick up someone?" Leonard was eager to move. "No, it's too early now." Howard waved his hand and said, "Let the lawyers and athletes choose first. After that, the remaining old, weak, sick and disabled people will be our targets. Is this your secret?" Leonard's heart was chilled. "Yes." Howard introduced enthusiastically. "If you see a girl with a guide dog later, she is mine. What will you do?" "When it comes to picking up girls, I chose you instead of Irving. Obviously, I was wrong." Leonard walked out, picked up his mobile phone and dialed Irving's number. "Hi, Irving, what are you doing?" "Listen, I want to ask you for a favor." Howard looked around and saw that no one paid attention to him. He dragged Rajesh and chased Leonard. "Wait for me, I want to go to Irving's place too. P.S. Thanks to Bakey Issue for the reward." Chapter 174 City knows how to have fun. TBBT apartment. Room 4A. Bang. "Hey, Sheldon, where's Leonard?" Penny, dressed in a cool outfit, pushed the door open and saw Sheldon sitting alone on his throne watching TV. Leonard was nowhere to be seen, so she asked. "He went to see Owen with Howard and Rajesh." Sheldon said, "Do you have anything to do with him?" Without waiting for Penny to answer, Sheldon sneered, "I'm just kidding. I don't care at all." "Oh." Penny's mouth twitched, and she muttered, "Of course you don't care. I just want to ask Leonard if he cares about me and Stuart going out on a date. He cared before, but he shouldn't care now." Sheldon said casually. "Why?" Penny paused and asked curiously. Sheldon shook his head, paused the TV, turned slightly sideways, and faced Penny. "Leonard was very upset because he was worried about you and Stuart coitus. At Howard's reminder, he planned to go to the bar to pick up girls and get drunk to relieve his worries. Is that so?" Penny's expression was a little strange, and her eyes flashed with the goddess's unique pleasure that the spare tire was sad because of her. Then she thought of something and interrupted. "Hey, didn't you say they went to find Owen?" Seeing Sheldon staring at her with bulging eyes, Penny apologized tactfully. "I'm sorry, Sheldon, you say. As I said just now, the three of them went to the bar to pick up girls, and the result was, to quote Leonard's words, I was so stupid to believe that Howard could pick up girls, so Leonard turned around and went to find Owen." Sheldon said slowly, "Now, Owen took the three of them to go out to sea on a super yacht. I heard that this super yacht named Eternal Gun has just arrived. Owen was going to invite everyone to visit, but he went ahead of time because of Leonard." "Wow." Penny was dumbfounded, and after a while she said, "Owen's super yacht? The Eternal Spear? Are you sure?" In her impression, Owen was indeed rich, very rich, but when Sheldon told her that Owen had bought a super yacht, she was still very shocked. As a member of a group determined to become a Hollywood star, Penny still had some understanding of the luxurious life of Hollywood stars. After all, this was the source of motivation for her to endure her current low-paid waitress job. Yachts are toys for the wealthy class, and super yachts are the best benchmark to distinguish between billionaires and billionaires. These big toys, that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, are definitely not affordable for ordinary billionaires. Because the life of the rich is not only about super yachts, other things such as private jets, mansions, and luxury cars that cost tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars are all gold-eating behemoths. Not only are they expensive, but the maintenance costs, after they are bought, are also extremely shocking. The annual cost of maintaining a super yacht is about 1/10 of the price of the boat, which is about tens of millions of dollars. Therefore, those who dare to buy super yachts worth hundreds of millions of dollars are basically billionaires. Of course I'm sure. Sheldon nodded. Then why don't you go? Penny took a long time to recover and asked in confusion. I don't like going out to sea on a boat. Sheldon shook his head and said, I'm afraid that once I go out to sea, I will hear the sound of Release the Sea Monster. I'm so scared. Just because of this? Penny said in disbelief. You gave up the opportunity to go on a super yacht. This is a super yacht. If you can go on it once. Penny believes that many girls are willing to give everything. Well, the kind that doesn't treat them as human beings. Yes. Sheldon opened his eyes wide and nodded affirmatively. Penny looked at Sheldon's innocent eyes and shook her head speechlessly. Thinking of Leonard going to that kind of place to play, she suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. If luxury cars are often associated with long-legged beauties, then super yachts are associated with the sea. That day, a group of cool bikini beauties followed them like a shadow. After her spare tire-licking dog has seen that kind of prosperity, will he still be her licking dog's spare tire after returning? Thinking of this, a faint feeling of sadness filled my heart. My anticipation for tonight's date with Stuart, the talented artist, dropped to the lowest point, and I felt bored for a moment. Marina del Rey, located on the Pacific Ocean west of Los Angeles, is the largest yacht port in the western United States. There are countless yachts of all sizes docked here, ranging from small sampans of 10 meters long to large sea castles of more than 100 meters. Da-da-da. The sound of helicopter rotors came from the air, immediately attracting the attention of tourists who were enjoying the beautiful scenery here. That's the helicopter on the Everlasting Spear. It looks like that super genius is here on vacation. It would take at least 100 million US dollars to get this Everlasting Spear, right? TSK. 100 million US dollars? Poverty has limited your imagination. Let me tell you, I've inquired about it. The Everlasting Spear cost 230 million US dollars, ranking 6th among the world's most luxurious super yachts. Oh my god, how can he be so rich? He's probably just trying to be rich. I don't believe he can earn a fortune of 10 billion US dollars from scratch at such a young age. You know, some people will spend everything they have on something when they love it. Even a billionaire can afford it if he really makes up his mind. It turns out that those beauties were found by him before. These rich people really know how to have fun. Why should he bother? For rich people of their level, a phone call will naturally lead to a special company to organize it. This is Los Angeles, with Hollywood right next to it. First and second tier female stars may be a little reserved, but those third tier female stars, models, and countless dream chasers will definitely not mind going to such occasions. While the tourists were envious and jealous, the helicopter had already landed on the Eternal Gun. Leonard and the other two followed Owen down the helicopter and looked up, stunned. What happened? Is this heaven? Woo. What caught their eyes were all kinds of long-legged beauties in uniforms. Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Star Trek, Terminator, Babylon V, DC, Marvel. All the movies and TV series Leonard and his friends liked. Related characters, whether male or female, or strange aliens, all had cosplay people, and the cosplay people were all beauties. Owen patted Leonard on the shoulder and smiled meaningfully. Enjoy it. If you still can't pick up girls like this, then go to bed and hug each other. I'm leaving now. Hi, Earthlings. Just as Leonard and the other two were standing there in a daze, a long-legged alien walked up to the three of them and said, the key is not what was said, but how it was said. Did she greet us in Klingon just now? Well, it seems, yes. The sound of deep breathing continued, and a sentence in Klingon almost made the three of them unable to bear it. Chapter 175 Karen Smith 2022-1018 Chapter 175 Karen Smith in the Pacific Ocean. The 120-meter-long eternal spear is like a castle on the sea, lighting up an area of the sea. Hash at. Hash at. Incredible. They actually know Klingon after Leonard and the other two spoke in pure Klingon with the long-legged aliens who surrounded them. They finally confirmed that the other party really knew Klingon. Klingon is a language that was specially created for the movie. It has been incorporated into the formal language system. It has strict pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. It can't be solved by talking nonsense. When they played Scrabble in Klingon before, Leonard hid it in every possible way and didn't want Penny to know because he knew that if Penny knew, she would definitely laugh at them. Klingon is not popular with girls. Or rather, Klingon is not popular with ordinary people. But who would have thought that when Leonard was at his most frustrated, Owen actually brought them to such a place, surrounded by countless familiar characters wearing the uniforms and costumes of the TV series and movies they were obsessed with. You know, which of the three of them doesn't have a few cosplay costumes and costumes from TV series and movies such as Star Trek in their wardrobes, and these costumes are even divided into regular and combat uniforms. When they were applauding their girlfriends for love, they all asked the other party to change into the uniforms and costumes of their favorite female characters in these TV series and movies, but some succeeded and some failed. But it is undeniable that these uniforms and costumes have a seductive power on them, not to mention that the other party can now talk to them in the purest Klingon language. For Leonard and the three geniuses with strong imagination, this simply makes them completely immerse themselves in the plot, and it is the Fernand Valley version. Sorry, wait a moment. The three of them were each accompanied by an alien girl, who not only knew Klingon, but also talked to them about comics, movies, games, and even science. Although they didn't seem to know as much as they did, this stimulated their desire to perform even more. In addition, the other party expressed admiration for their erudition, and took the initiative to count the coins in their pockets with their toes. The three of them had never experienced such a scene before. It was really a death sentence for them. If there were not countless girls watching them, their blood would have boiled long ago. However, they were genius scientists after all. At this point, they still had a trace of clarity in their minds. They called a timeout, walked aside, and discussed. Is this true? Rajesh took a sip of the champagne handed to him by the long-legged man, and murmured, rich people can still play like this. My life in the past was really like Zyogizzy. Of course it's true. Howard was the most wretched and the most sober at this moment. Hearing this, he said disdainfully, I'm sure this is the paradise that Irving spent money to prepare for us. If we had as much money as he did, we could also play like this. Rajesh took another sip of champagne and lowered his head in shame. Howard and the others knew that Rajesh's family was quite rich because Rajesh's father was a gynecologist and drove a Bentley, but they could never imagine how rich Rajesh's family was. Among the crowd, only Owen and Sheldon knew the most. Owen was familiar with the plot, and Sheldon helped Rajesh to do justice, and had a very clear understanding of the wealth of Rajesh's family. According to Sheldon, although the wealth of Rajesh's family was not as high as that of Iron Man, it was definitely not much different. It was a billionaire level and a wealthy family in the top 10 of the world's wealth rankings. Although Rajesh did not control the family's wealth, he had lived to this day, and could not even think of playing like Owen. It had to be said that it was an extreme irony. He couldn't even talk to a woman without drinking. No matter how rich he was still worried about being expelled from the United States. He was scared to death when he heard the name of the FBI. It had to be said that the deep malice from the United States turned a true pride into a ridiculous poor guy. What should we do now? Leonard took out his asthma inhaler and took a few deep puffs, glancing at the paradise over there and muttering, if you ask me, Irving must have paid, so let's each take our alien girls to play. Howard rubbed his hands and said, agreed. Rajesh nodded heavily. Wait. Leonard had never experienced such a situation before, and worried, what if we are wrong? Irving just paid them to chat with us? Should we go and ask Irving? If you want to ask him. Do you think he has time to answer the phone at this time? Howard said. That's right. Leonard nodded and said in confusion, how about we wait and see? If they take the initiative, we will take action. Howard stared at Leonard for a long time, not very sure in his heart, so he nodded and said, "Okay, but I must say first, if I get excited later, I won't care whether you succeed or not. Understood?" Leonard glanced at Howard and responded with a hint of sarcasm. Ever since he saw Howard's real skills in picking up girls at the bar, Leonard no longer believed in Howard's tricks. When the three of them were discussing, the professional organizer who organized this special party at Irving's request was also paying attention to the three people's actions. Seeing this, he thought something was wrong and called Irving for instructions. "Is that so?" Irving pondered for a moment and guessed most of the three people's psychology of having the will, but not the courage. With a curled corner of his mouth, he ordered, "You should have professionals. Let them focus on my friends and use the plots in the film and television dramas to get excited, and don't be too proactive." "What about the arrangement that made them happy before?" the host in the dark asked. "It depends on them." Irving smiled playfully. "If they are immersed in the game and can't extricate themselves, then don't worry about them. If they have the courage to prefer private games, then satisfy them. In short, let them choose freely and ensure that they have fun." "I see." The host in the dark is also a smart person and immediately knew what to do. "Are they your scientist friends?" A sweet and innocent voice came from the floor. Owen bowed his head slightly and smiled at Karen Smith. "Yes, they are all my good friends and your fans. I will introduce you to them if I have the chance." "Okay." Karen has never objected to Owen's words and nodded seriously. "The Eternal Spear has disbanded now. What are your plans?" Owen asked casually while lying there with his eyes closed. "I don't know." Karen paused and tilted her head and said, "The last scandal had a huge impact. Even if you conquered everyone with your genius performance in the end, it was still a disaster for our Eternal Spear Choir. All domestic activities have been cancelled." Later, everyone discussed it and decided to disband it completely. Those who do business do business. Those who go home to inherit the family property inherit the family property, and those who enjoy life. I don't have any ideas, so I came to you and listened to your arrangements. Owen snorted and began to think about Karen Smith. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.